you gonna do it? Is it doing it? It's doing it. Okay, that's fine. Great. Okay, so how's everyone doing today? Good. Good. Everyone is excited.
Wonderful. How are you doing today?
Good. Actually, have had a very good day. Very good day today. So, if you need to say something to somebody, feel free to use the back channel chat. It's what it's there for. Today is going to be you guys are starting in the sandbox. So, that's also looks delicious. I also have a present that I got. That was supposed to be for Christmas, but it finally got here. But the Discovery phaser with removable one, which I'm very excited about. It's a very fun prop. Very well made. But yeah, okay. So, we're gonna get started. Does anyone have any questions, concerns, comments?
We were in the Flying Scotsman last I checked. Where are
Correct.
we now?
No, we were in Captain Lex's bar, weren't we?
Yes, we were in the
Flying
Flying Scotsman.
The Flying Scotsman.
And we'll be resuming there, and then I'll be flash forwarding a week. I have something to resolve that didn't happen during the streamed episode, and then we'll be flash forwarding to a week later as you are flying through the Gamma Quadrant. So, we start, and everyone has toasted a glass to everyone's good health and to our very, very dear friend Scotty, who the bar is named after, Perlex, and dedicated to Perlex. And with that, as everyone is celebrating Bana, you actually receive a communication just as the ship enters into the wormhole. It bleeps on your, tricorder, because, you know, it's big enough to have a screen now. So you, it comes on, and in a moment, you recognize the person at the other end, on the other end of the video call. It is another Trill. It is actually the head of the symbiont committee. And they go,
Bono would excuse himself to take the call in private.
Great.
Which probably just means other side of the bar.
Yeah. So you probably go over to one of those really nice comfy couches over on the side, because it looks very much like 10 forward still. I mean, it's Starfleet. Everything's pretty standardized. However, the fabric choicing is very different. It complements well with the rest of the room. It's not the same carpeting that's on the floor as it is because, you know, we're not carpeting the walls anymore. So you sit down, and you the person goes, Bana, it is good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm fine, I suppose. To what do I owe this distinct pleasure? And as he's talking, he's steadily adjusting settings on the tricorder.
Okay. I'll ask what you're doing in just a minute. But they go, we've got some bad news. It's come to light that we need, as a planet, to recall a list of joined Trill, and you have been recalled to Trill. We will be sending orders to your ship as soon as possible, but
that might be somewhat difficult.
Why is that?
Well, for starters, we're, I'd say 300, maybe 400,000 kilometers from the opening of a wormhole. Bana is typing much faster now.
I understand what your assignment is, Ensign. However, it's not like your starship doesn't have warp-capable shuttlecraft.
I'm sorry. Could you say that again? I think you're breaking up.
But Bana, can you? And all of a sudden,
no,
static actually happens on your tricorder, and the communication is terminated, and all that's left is static. You wouldn't have seen this, but the Symbiont Committee head is looking at his computer screen going, what the hell just happened? And
do I need to roll for what the hell just happened?
No.
1994 technology just happened.
No. So why don't you explain to the audience that will be watching this what you just did?
Anna had no fucking intention of going home. They would take more than the head of the Symbiosis Commission to drag him back to Trill right now. And so it's a fairly simple matter to introduce noise into any signal. I mean, he's a competent engineer. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of dialing up and routing the right oscillators, and all of a sudden you inexplicably have subspace static.
All right.
I mean, surely quantum anomalies that open holes in space cause that, right?
You know, it's
reasonable.
Weirder
things
fine.
have happened.
This is Star Trek. Communication happens at the speed of the plot.
Just ask Abraham Lincoln.
That's
correct. And so, we are going to take that moment to fade out on that scene and flash forward about a week. The star date is now 75784.5 to be exact, which is about a week after the last star date that I gave on this show. And it's been a fairly mundane week. Lex, after about a few days of attempting to pursue the Wellerman into the Gamma Quadrant because the fucker fired on your ship. Because he needed to get rid of that tractor beam. You had communications with Starfleet that basically said, give up pursuit. They're long gone. If you come across, it's going to be a situation in which you bring them in with as many people as you can. However, your mission is basically still meant to be exploration. Starfleet has basically put the Starfleet equivalent of a wanted poster out for the entire ship, which is very rare in Starfleet history. It's not often ships go rogue. But you've resumed your exploring duties for the most part. Bana, Trop, and Rakan, obviously you've been sharing the same quarters along with Toulouse. And today, as you all got ready for your duty shifts, you noticed that Toulouse was somehow missing. She must have snuck off in the night while everyone was sleeping, and or, Trop, chances are you normally like to hang out the sleeping hours in the lower decks bar, right?
Correct. He wouldn't stay in the actual room, but if Toulouse was still hanging out with the captain, then he might have seen something happen, but if Toulouse was back in standard quarters, then he wouldn't have seen her going off.
All right. Is my mic popping for you guys?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Just a bit.
I figured that would be happening. One moment, please. Let me just switch that over. Does that sound better? Hello. Does this sound better for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I figured it was going to be what it was. It's fine. And Lex, in regards to your back channel, go ahead and share whatever you wanted to share with Bana that you discovered about the sensor during this week.
I wouldn't have discovered anything. It had been made very clear that I wasn't supposed to discover anything about this. And so it's very important for my engineering to know very clearly. And I would want to be sure to tell Bana and bring him exactly to that spot and say, by the way, this is the system that we do not know exists. This system absolutely is not here. And so I need you to very thoroughly make sure that you are completely familiar with the system that is not here so that you do not see it or know anything about it. Right here.
You're muted.
What system, Captain? I'm sorry. There's no system right here. There's no system that I'm very definitely studying everything I can find out about. No, ma'am.
Because we need to make sure that we know exactly what is not here.
Yes, I will study its absence with every free moment I have. Yes, Captain.
And I'm quite capable putting it in your capable hands, and with the rest of our crew. I know that you've just come aboard, so that other people have also been informed that this is not here.
Oh, very good.
If you guys can work together to make sure that you are all in communication with the fact that this is not here and that we are completely up to date with what it isn't, would be perfect.
Absolutely, Captain. I'm guessing I don't need to report this to you directly, just up the chain of command. Yes.
Yeah, certainly no. It's because there's nothing here. There's no reason for a chain of command.
Very good.
There you go.
So we know exactly what Bana's been doing for the last week. So, Rakan, what have you been doing for the last week? What did you want to explore?
So Rakan, for the most part, would have been doing his duties, and then in his downtime would be continuing the research into the Hermetic syndrome.
Excellent.
Since we do have a patient in stasis, we have years of worth of notes that between himself and Trop have been able to go through, because I know Trop said that they would be willing to help read through some of it and highlight anything that seemed relevant.
Excellent. So your research, you're basically researching the research right now, which is a lot. The Dr. Ship, who is in stasis still in the basically the sick bay area, who hasn't left stasis because of the aromatic syndrome that is within them, and because of the nature of the report that you got from the ensigns, which it was potentially waterborne, maybe airborne. They weren't 100% certain. So Rakan, you've definitely gained a lot of knowledge on what Dr. Ship was trying to touch on in regards to aromatic syndrome, and definitely brought up a lot of notable people throughout history. Trop, on that end, you've definitely brought in a lot of the knowledge of notable people in history that have had aromatic syndrome, and you know how long they lived. And a name that has actually come through was a one Admiral Picard, who had always had it, however, started to slowly degrade, seemingly around the time he retired. Which, you know, interesting. But with that, you basically have come up with the knowledge of this is something that is reversible in some way. It's finding the right ingredients to affect the bits of the brain that have irrimatic syndrome. Your standard cancer-like therapies wouldn't work from the 20th or 21st century that you researched. It's not super clear why. It's just been mentioned that it hasn't worked. And yeah, give me the SAS cam all you want. And what you discover is that the path that Dr. Ship was on was definitely not Section 31 was manipulating her research in the fact of using it for their own gain, as well as steering her in slightly wrong directions, you've noticed, in order to get to the purpose that you think that Section 31 is.
The weaponization of it that we realized they were
correct.
trying to do the last time.
Right. That's basically, you notice that they've been subtly nudging the research in the ways without her actually being completely aware of it. So innocent in all of this at this point. Trop, I know that you are also researching a little bit about the Nexus. So again, Picard has definitely come up in mentions of the Nexus as you have been slowly working. Actually, Toulouse helped a little bit with kind of uncovering those deeper logs that maybe an ensign shouldn't have access to. And you're noticing that you've definitely discovered that anyone who enters the Nexus isn't actually dead, isn't actually gone. They exist in some form or fashion. It's kind of like a veil into a different dimension or a different plane of existence sort of deal, in which the collective consciousness of every living being that the Nexus has, enveloped, helps sustain the Nexus and change the Nexus to whatever that person's, preferred place to be is.
Basically like a neutral good afterlife version of the Borg.
Basically, it's the physical representation of what you have discovered in Earth history to be a heaven. And that's basically kind of where you've gotten to at this point, as well as your normal duties, which all of you do rounds on the bridge as part of the bridge crew whenever, rotating out like normal. Lex made sure that she sees you occasionally. And Lex, what do you think that you would have been working on to try and figure out over this last week? Or are you just loving the fact that your bar is back?
Which is delightful, don't get me wrong. Actually, other than trying to integrate the crew, I have been having a little pet project of my own.
Oh?
Yes, with my pet. Because I'm going to train it to be able to sit next to me when I'm sitting in the captain's chair. Because when I'm going to make an impression, I'm going to make an impression.
So, for anyone who hasn't seen your session with Dax yet, what's your pet?
Actually, the funny thing is I haven't spoken with Dex about what the pet's name is.
Well, what is it? What is it first? It's a Targ. Okay. It's a Klingon Targ. Okay. And
it's a rescue. It's a rescue Targ.
It is a rescue Targ. It's definitely a rescue Targ. So
So I imagine like, the picture that Lex is after is to be able to sit in the captain's chair with the Targ sitting at attention next to.
Oh, just like right here. Like,
Right
sitting.
here.
On the floor.
Yeah.
Or up, so that you can stroke its head every once in a while, kind of thing. And addressing. Now, trying to explain this. Now, on one hand, it's Yaz's, so we're going to be able to work with Yaz on the thing, and that this is a target that's going to be as part of the security detail under Yaz. And since I came from security, I know what that can add onto our own security system, and certainly for away missions should we need them. And so this is actually part of Yaz's thing. But while it's on the bridge, it's going to sit next to me.
Amazing. I love this. So, each one of you have definitely had shifts on the bridge, probably once or twice during this past week. And you've definitely come across this Targ. You've definitely seen it. And you've definitely been like...
Anna at least once surprised himself by baby talking to the Targ in Klingon.
I love it. I love it. All right. What did you try and baby talk to the Targ?
I did. Oh, who's this one going to talk? Yes, you are. Except for first he's like it's going wrong.
Oh, of course.
He didn't really realize, like if he'd thought about it for half a second, he would have known that one of his hosts, of course, spoke Klingon, more than one actually.
Right.
But it's not something he does. It's just there in his head, and things come out of his head at unexpected times.
So how would have Lex reacted to that?
Oh, that would have been delightful. That would have been, I think that actually once the ensign crew would have met the bridge crew, they might have understood why there had been some slight hesitation about Toulouse when introducing our head of security, Yaz, and the Targ.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was one of those like, and here are this person, and here may I introduce this, and this is Yaz.
Great. Absolutely amazing. So yes, Toulouse has definitely remained off of the bridge this entire week. Doesn't necessarily leave, at least doesn't necessarily leave the room, at least according to what you three have seen. She definitely has, though. Just saying. She's a sneaky little triple C's.
Toulouse is her own
she
triple.
can sneak
She can do what she wants.
Her own triple. There's the t-shirt right there.
Right. So she definitely has. And so Toulouse going missing for a few hours without you noticing is not that big of a deal for the most part. She tends to return most of the time. I mean, she's on a starship. Where can she go? It's not like she can pilot a shuttle or, turn on a transporter we know of.
Are you sure about that?
We absolutely damn certain.
Please don't say something she'll take as a challenge.
We have seen her do more capable things than it would take to do either of those.
Yeah, well.
Would you like to try again?
Okay.
We can check the transporter logs, though.
This is what, where could she go in the Targ? This is like, that's
right.
As we're trying to.
Yes.
On a Targ seat.
So with that,
and Bonna's definitely not thinking, hey, I wonder if we could do the same thing to the Targ we did with the triple.
Oh shit.
We
dear.
have the technology.
Please, I'm not gonna roll for that yet. So what this is one of those rare times that all three of you are actually in bridge positions. Bonna, you're actually at the engineering station. Rakan, you're actually at the tactical station, which is strange. Yaz normally spends what Lex looks like as like 24 hours there. It's like Yaz never leaves her station. But this time you think, actually, you were told that Yaz was in the holodeck doing some of that crazy Klingon training that you've heard a lot about, and keeping up keeping up with the Joneses, and actually with the Targ as well. So the Targ's not on the bridge today. So, and then Trop, you're actually piloting today. I believe we called him Lieutenant Aaron. Lieutenant Aaron, who is technically the main pilot of the ship, is taking a few days off, relaxing. Also in the holodeck. But he's the program, Lex, that you would know. Is he's actually running He's running an early 21st century surfer book, surfer novel, where you've only visited him once when he's doing this, and it's very confusing. It's, very sunny. It's a beach. There's surfing going on, and you're not unfamiliar with surfing. You were in San Francisco. It happened. But he even makes sure his hair is normally like a dusty blonde, but he changes it to like this really bright beach blonde in the holodeck, and he just lives out his best life being a surfer. So yeah. It might be Baywatch. There are some people.
I was going to say lots of little red.
There might be some red, very skimpy uniforms, and people who are far too muscular for their own good, including the women.
Point Break would have been so much funnier though than playing Keanu Reeves.
So
the holograms occasionally seem to run a little too slowly.
Oh, they always do. Whenever they need to save someone, it is always in slow motion.
Slow motion. Gasoline on the lens. It's
Actually, Lex, you walked in at one of those points where it's the slow mo, and you're like.
That was one of those moments where I'm like, we clearly did not have the same growing up experience. I'm going to leave now.
So,
I have a bar to tend.
I have literally anywhere else to be.
I have literally anywhere else to go.
So Tyler, is this one of those holodeck programs that everybody knows a specific person uses?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
April Fool's pranks of
I'm
putting some
curious.
giant crabs on the beach.
Is
This is definitely
Is Aaron going to walk in slow motion when he comes out? Have you caught him doing that before?
No.
Where he's like,
I'm pretty
down
sure
the
he would.
hallway.
I'm pretty sure he would achieve that by setting the time and gravity settings within the holodeck, which seems to exist outside of the holodeck, so long as everything is working properly. If you do see that, then you might want to notify someone.
I just mean,
Not good.
after being so used to doing it in the simulation that when he comes out, he accidentally does it while he's walking down the hall.
Right, but that's what I mean, is he probably only achieves that in the holodeck with a combination of time and gravity settings, so if it is happening outside of the holodeck, then either something's wrong with him physically or the holodeck is leaking again.
Again? How often does this happen?
leaking again. What?
Oh, trust me, you do not want to know how many diplomatic incidents have happened because of holodecks going awry. It happens at least once every Earth cycle month somewhere. It's always a disaster.
Them's the facts, though.
Noted.
Okay, so as Starfleet officers, you, especially going through Starfleet Academy, it's not like you haven't read logs of other starships. For some odd reason, anytime there's a ship named Enterprise, it seems to, like, what the hell's going on? How?
Anytime there's a human on the ship.
Oh, then
Because
facts.
it also happens in Voyager.
Yeah, basically, you know that holodecks are they're reliable. Sometimes. Until they're not. Remember,
They
you
work
blew up
100%
one.
of the time, 90% of the time.
Remember, you blew up one.
No. We did not. The jackass did.
So as you're having this conversation about Lieutenant Aaron and his life
Aaron
choices
James.
on the hump.
Aaron James.
That's
Aaron
right.
James. Anyone who has two first names, you already know.
As you're talking about his life choices, and taking a poking fun at your fellow shipmate, it's a relatively routine flying through. You're actually going through a system that is relatively boring. The mapping is being done by the sensors department, and it's not really anything of note in front of you other than, a gas giant. But it's one you haven't seen yet, so that's what's interesting.
Does this one have 0.21% more hydrogen than the others?
Honestly, that's what conversations can be sometimes.
I know.
It's real great.
The scientists are very excited. I'm glad.
The scientists are having a field day down in the they don't know what to do with their life. They're just so excited.
Later on at
While they're doing that, I'm still debating how we're going to put in some code for finding the Wellerman. I understand that we're exploring, but part of exploration is seeking out strange new life, like rogue ships.
Because for all we know, that is new. Who knows what's under that kilt?
Oh. Please tell me this was a conversation. Please tell me that happened out loud. I would love that to be an in-character conversation.
With Trop, absolutely.
I'm having visions of tentacles and I don't like it.
Oh, dear.
Why is it always tentacles? Those are so mundane.
Oh.
My question is why we're wondering what's under a ship captain's kilt.
Because we don't know if the ship captain was the ship captain. That's my point. He could be an entirely new life form.
Clearly.
What's under the kilt means what's under the uniform. Where is your mind at, man?
On this panel.
This panel right here.
Adjusting sensors. This sensor needs adjusting very badly.
That's my targ.
I don't have a sensor to adjust. Can I shoot at something?
The other members of the bridge crew are literally like their noses can't get any closer to the holographic panels, like just
without setting something off by contact.
At this point, they're trying not to laugh as hard. They're trying not to laugh a lot.
Trop's commentary reminds me of someone, so I'm actually delighted about this. But we're trying to maintain some
decorum. So while it's relatively mundane, surprisingly and suddenly to
absolutely no one.
Cue music singer.
Ding. Suddenly, Trop, on your control panel pops up the fact that the ship is receiving a communication signal. It is a distress signal.
Captain, we're being hailed and receiving a distress signal.
Put it through. Do we know where its origin?
What do I need to roll for that? Let's find out. Okay, so you're doing honestly, you're doing a fairly routine thing, and it's not really going through anything of interference. So let's say it's a difficulty of 0. So roll if you want to build momentum.
Yeah, sure.
That's going to be a... I'll give it to you for a... Where's my explanations? I need to pull those up because your boy here is going to say something wrong.
I have at least one success because I rolled a 7. I'm waiting to see if the 12 is also a success.
Okay. Let's just say control control in science, so yes.
Yes, it meets.
So two
So two
successes,
successes.
which means 2 momentum. You do know the origin. It's coming from a nearby mining outpost, which is not too far out of the way of where you're currently surveying. Go
Any
ahead.
info on it, like what it was,
So yeah,
concerning
definitely. Because you knew where it's coming from, the computer actually pulls up some information for you about this mining platform. It is the Dytelix mining outpost G1 or Gamma 1. And Starfleet officers would recognize the name Dytelix, Dytallix, due to the fact that they are a well-known Federation mining company. They are mining dilithium regularly. That's not the only thing that they mine. However, they specialize in mining dilithium. The computer pulls up some recent information on this particular operation here. This was the first outpost on a asteroid not too far from your current location that Dytelix established here in the Gamma Quadrant as soon as the travel ban was lifted from the Treaty of Bajor that was signed at the end of the Dominion War, which is the reason why you're allowed to explore in the Gamma Quadrant now. The interesting bit of information about Dytelix is that they exclusively used synths or androids for most of their mining operations. They kept their actual fully living crew complement down to very minimal, and oftentimes engineers most of the time, as opposed to...
their organic crew.
Their organic crew, thank you. Fully organic crew. Gamma 1 was obviously the first operation. That's basically what the computer tosses at you right now. And any other questions before we talk about what the message says? Okay. So you throw the message up on the view screen, and on screen you see... Actually, surprisingly, on screen, Lex, you see a very familiar face. Someone you weren't expecting to see, especially here in the Gamma Quadrant. And Trop, you actually recognize this face. You're not sure why you recognize this face, but you recognize this face. It's almost like you've met them. On screen is a female Denobulan woman. They go... This is Commander Merali of the USS Yorkshire in the Dytelix mining outpost Gamma 1. To any and all vessels nearby, we are in need of immediate assistance. There are a little bit of sparks behind her. The camera shakes just a little bit. The synths have gone rogue, attempting to repair the crew. They are starting to cause resonating in the dilithium crystals, and the structural integrity of the building is, as she attempts to explain, is there's a clear boom a little bit and shaking. The computer overhead then goes...
Warning. Life support has been disabled. Please report to the nearest escape vessel.
With that, she says, we are going to try and get to the nearest escape vessel. Please send help. And the communication then cuts off, and then you notice, Trop, that the same communication string is coming in again. So it is setting on a loop.
Permission to put in coordinates, Captain?
Yes, do so.
So you put in the coordinates. It's not that far away. And what happens is you warp. It's literally just a jump. It's literally just a jump, a hop, warp 2, and you're there. And when you come out of warp, on the view screen, you have to zoom in twice to see the asteroid because, it's relatively tiny in comparison to, space. And you see a interesting structure on top of this asteroid. It looks like it's almost square, but with very rounded corners. Kind of 1950s Chrome-esque type futuristic looking building. It's definitely civilian built. And you can tell that because it's not as clean. Of course, it's a mining operation. It's not going to look very clean. And since the Federation and Starfleet doesn't necessarily mine on their own, they rely on companies like this to do it. That's what you see. What are you gonna do?
Immediately scan for signatures of escape pods.
Excellent. Okay, so if you're going to do a scan for the escape pods,
This is
again,
off the
not-
Yorkshire, right?
you do not detect.
Yeah,
No,
when,
no.
when she was doing her report, was this on the mining colony or was this off the USS Yorkshire?
It came off of the mining colony.
Okay.
So as you scan, if you want to roll for it, go ahead. It's not going to be difficult to scan. It's going to be again, science and control, which is a 12 for you, I believe, Trop.
Yes. One
Um,
success. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, since Bana was already over there adjusting sensors, could he help him?
Oh yeah, definitely. If you want to assist, roll me engineering and insight.
If Bana, before you roll that, Justin, if Bana is asking if Trop needed help, Trop would request, instead of scanning for ship signatures, which is relatively easy, if you could instead do a scan to check on the actual stability of the asteroid and the building, since they mentioned resonating dilithium, which isn't something that Trop would be familiar with and would want you with the engineering experience to look into.
Okay. Tyler, does that change the roll?
No, same roll. Go right ahead.
Okay. That's a 4 and a 1.
Oh,
Okay.
Nice.
Let's just. Okay, so let's talk about what Trop found out. Trop,
Thank
in
you,
terms
Liz
of
Dice.
looking, in terms of looking at the craft that was supposed to be here on the mining colony, you noticed that there is actually one civilian transport vessel, warp capable, low warp capable, cargo hauler for the most part. Very small, 1 to 2 people at a time. Doesn't look like there's much living quarters. It seems relatively inert, however, not damaged too much. There is one that is crashed about 100 yards, probably about 100 meters away from the mining facility itself. It looks like it either attempted to take off and then immediately crashed, or it came in for a crash landing. Not necessarily sure at this current time. And then you take note of a Starfleet shuttlecraft with the registry number that matches that of the USS Yorkshire. So one could assume that is how Commander Morali had gotten on to the mining colony. However, according to what the computer tells you as fact, there should be one other transport vessel assigned to this mining operation as always assigns 3 transport vessels to a mining operation at any given time. Bana, with your role in regards to structural integrity / what the hell is going on the asteroid, because you got a 1, I'm going to say that you have a lot of information. So you notice that life support is at minimal for the entire facility. Breathable air, but minimal. You also notice that at some point, the mining equipment had been damaged to the point of being potentially blown up, it looks like. And you notice that the dilithium that is within this asteroid is not resonating. It's perfectly inert like it should be when you mine it. So it's normal dilithium. However, you're also noticing that the machinery of the general mining operation itself is in disarray. There's a lot of machinery that's not going to work. There's a lot of computer systems that are down. It looks like there was some firefighting that happened and or just general things being broken. And that's what you get from that. What do you do?
Specific question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this being dilithium mining, I would guess that they would have like emergency deuterium tanks on station to like put out anything that got set off accidentally.
Yeah.
Are those intact?
Oh yeah. The backup reserves, everything is actually backup system wise is relatively untouched. It seems all primary systems were the ones that were destroyed in some form or fashion.
Thank you.
So what you do?
Did Rakan have something to say?
Rakan?
While Trop is looking for escape pods and Bana is scanning the planet, I'm sure. Justin, would Bana have said that there was damage to the mining equipment that looked like explosions?
Yeah, he's reporting all of this as he finds it. It's just
Rakan would be scanning for other ships in the area.
Okay.
Anything that may be hostile, non-hostile, just
general scan of the area, which is fine. That's super easy. You can roll if you want, but it's not any more difficult than what Trop or Bana did.
Gotta build that momentum, though. We may need it.
You can use it for all sorts of things.
Who asked us to bring D6s? I'm worried about what we're going to be using it for.
How many are we up to?
We had 5.
5
in total.
What would you like me to roll?
Oh, roll me control and actually roll me control and command.
Oh, cool. That's 2 successes with a 9 and a 11.
Okay, perfect. So now you're up to 7 momentum, friends. Yes. So you notice that there is nothing in the immediate area. A short-range scan is not doing anything for you. Even a long-range scan is showing you nothing of note either. It's like it's not. No one's coming or going. It's just you out here chilling.
So that's what Rakan is going to report?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I was looking for, I want to find that missing shuttle, if that's our escaped synthetics, if that's what's happened. I want an open channel back to the mining colony. Otherwise, if we can't establish communications, I want an open channel to the USS Yorkshire, which should be here. Even with a shuttle here, that's a short-range shuttle. The USS Yorkshire should be here. If it's not, that makes me concerned that they have actually gone in pursuit of the missing shuttle, in which case we have to be considering the information that Bana has given us as sabotage.
Captain, there is no ship in the area other than ourselves.
correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Tyler say that there was a ship that had the signature that matched the Yorkshire?
Yeah, there's one. So should be three of the mining mining ships that should be there. The cargo ships. There's only two. One is inert. The other one is crashed. The third one is missing. However, an additional ship that is on the asteroid is a shuttle that has the call sign for the Yorkshire.
Right. But since the Yorkshire itself is not here, and we're missing one shuttle, here was an important question that I would ask for Trop, because Trop was the one who found the shuttles. Which way on the crashed ship, which way is the nose pointing as to whether it was taking off or coming in?
Well, okay. Okay, sorry,
Nope.
I got confused
No, it's
based
okay.
on how things were described.
It's okay. Another quick scan will give you the information that she asks for. And with that, I'm not even going to have you roll. It definitely came in. So it's not like it was trying to fly out and then fell. It into the asteroid.
Okay.
Okay.
What's our next steps, friends?
I'd like to see if we can open a channel to the mining facility. Morali called out. Can we reestablish communication?
I can obviously try, yeah.
Okay. Trop. I'm gonna ask you to roll me a con and control. And difficulty level of 1.
That's a 1 and an 8.
Okay. You throw out all standard call signs, greetings in all known languages, and through the universal translator, and what you get back is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Their equipment is completely damaged. As far as you can tell, they will have no way of talking to people in the outside world. Yes, Trop.
Scan for life signs of the escape pod.
Okay. So, if you were to scan for life signs, which again is not difficult, give me a roll of science, medicine, and insight. It's a difficulty of 0, so whatever you build is...
Well, I'm not building anything. He might actually look quickly to Rakan to ask, wait, how do you run this again? Wait, no, I remember. Thank you.
What did you roll?
I got, like, just barely one success of a 14 and a 17.
Okay, well, it still wasn't a failure, so you're good.
Yes. Barely.
Barely. But what you notice is there are no life signs that are alive, that are organic. However, you do scan and you do notice at least 2 what used to be alive organic beings.
And do we have a way to scan for synthetic life, active synthetic life?
So, knowing... Because Diatalix works for the Federation and exclusively for the Federation, there's some Starfleet technology that they force onto the company in order for Starfleet to, have access if necessary, fix things, etc., etc. So you actually can call up on the computer the basically the scanning codes of normally what has been implanted in the basic positronic brains of these synthetic life forms. These synthetic life forms or androids are obviously not as complex or as you would know, the Commander Data, who was obviously one of the most famous in recent history androids, and they're basically worker bees to a point. However, all that would be very fresh in each one of your minds is the fact that there was a situation that caused the burning of Mars, that synthetic life forms were solely responsible for, until it was discovered only a year ago at this point that it was actually the Romulan Tel Shiar behind implanting programming into those specific synthetic life forms that caused them to go rogue and burn the planet. Go ahead, Lex.
Okay, so the first things that are going to happen is that Lex is going to contact Yaz and Polly, interrupting whatever's going on in holodeck. I don't care. Content them. I want them to report to the bridge. We're going to have an away mission. I also want to use our Federation technology and immediately reinstate full backup life support on the mining facility, because we're going to be going down.
Okay. Simple enough to do, Bana.
Yep, I was about to say, engineer needs to engineer.
Engineer needs to engineer. So I'm actually going... There's going to be two roles for that.
Rakan and Polly connected?
Rakan is Vulcan, Polly's Romulan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
Well, that's why I'm going to want Polly for reference.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to have some insight into the synthetic issue that we may be dealing with. But I don't know if Rakan is going to be able to go on this away mission, and therefore I don't think Polly is going to be able to go on an away mission, and I want Rakan to have spoken with him.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do, Bana. It's going to require you 2 different times of attempting to repair life support. You can do what you can software-wise from here, but there's going to be a physical element too once you actually get to the place. You can safely beam in order to, and be safe to breathe for a little bit, not long, but a little bit, to repair life support on planet as well. And with that, what's going to happen is we're going to have Yaz and Polly come from where they were up to the bridge, and Polly actually comes up to Rakan as everyone's doing their final bits, and Lex is saying to Yaz, don't burn down the ship like you normally do, thanks. And Polly's actually going to say to Rakan, I have some information on the Tel Shiar that might help you in this situation. And they pull out their tricorder and they isolinear chip and hand you the isolinear chip. And they go, good luck. And Bana, roll me for your software end of things. Roll me an engineering and reason.
Okay. 2 successes.
Difficulty level of 1, so you're fine. So you're able to successfully have the ship take over the software duties of the mining facility and the processing power required for the broken computer cores that are at the mining facility. So basically everything's Wi-Fi now.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
Could I do a quick scan of one of these synthetic life forms just to see if maybe Starfleet left a back door?
Did we have a synthetic life form? I know we had two organics.
Well, there's
Two organic bodies.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to do the scan for the synthetic.
Okay. So why don't we do that now? So the scan of the synthetic life forms, you see about a dozen or so, maybe more. The you can't really tell with the ones below the asteroid surface. There's a lot of baser minerals that are throwing reflections and sensor ghosts back at you. However, strictly on the surface, you're noticing about a dozen or so. And from what you can tell is they're pretty locked out sort of aspect, which is odd for these types of mining synthetics. Normally there is a backdoor. Normally there is a shutdown sequence. That's not necessarily known to a lot of people. Maybe the general Starfleet knowledge. However, you as an engineer, and with your past experience, would definitely know that this is odd.
Yeah. The thinking goes, if he could get control of one, he could start repairs before they even got down there.
I gotcha. So does anyone else have anything they'd like to do on the bridge before we head to transporter room 3?
I'd like to scan for Commander Morali, if there's a way to scan for denobulins. Unfortunately, I'm not sure. I know that what Trop covered was what had crashed in the shuttle, but I don't know if we're able to get any about what's still inside the mining facility.
Inside the mining facility is actually 2 more organic bodies. However, nothing is pinging denobulin. You can't search for DNA to that level, especially with the Starship sensors. However, nothing's popping up denobulin.
So there's 2 organic bodies who are inert outside, and we're talking about 2 inert inside?
2 dead inside, yes.
Yes. And then otherwise we have no other scans of organic life at all. And we're missing 2 shuttles. Or one shuttle and 1 ship.
1 shuttle and 1 ship, yep.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
No, away team, come with me.
All right. And Bana.
Okay, out of character for a moment.
Yeah.
We have a definitely not a sensor package, definitely strapped onto the back of our ship.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Definitely not a massive ass sensor package sitting back there. Do we have access to it from the bridge, or would that have to go through something else?
That would definitely have to go through something else.
I know there's something else. That's fine.
Through engineering, I believe is what.
Okay, just checking.
Checking. Through something else. Yeah, definitely. All right. So the away crew goes, and you head to transporter room 3. It's not a long journey. However, Rakan, with the information that you have gotten from your long lost cousin, from another mother, which, you know, that's what Romulans are to Vulcans. They actually had some rather deep insight. They actually had some rather deep insight on the situation revolving the synths that happened on Mars. The information was that they used a lot of, there actually had to be a physical component in which they downloaded, basically, to use 21st century terms, they downloaded malware into one unit. And then, once that unit was plugged in for the night, it infected the rest of the alcoves that the units used to charge themselves. So basically you're given all of the technique that they used. So one could think that it wasn't like Wi-Fi enabled. It wasn't a, air hack.
Literally had to be plugged in.
Yeah, literally had to be plugged in at some point. So that's what you have learned. You have learned that by the time you walk into the transporter room. There, your transporter room Chief O'Malley, I don't know why, O'Malley, gives the captain the nod. Yep, going on a away mission. Keep you safe. Gotcha. And you take whatever equipment that you need, obviously, to help repair the life support systems, which, let me pull up my map that I made. I over-prepared for this. I under and over-prepared at the same time.
It's
in there.
Every GM understands.
Rakan would make sure to stop and pick up a spare tricorder and a second phaser.
Okay. Are you pew-pewing?
No, but I know what we've done with these devices in the past, and it's always good to have spare.
Hey, Rakan, grab me one too, would you?
Yeah.
Lex, what is Lex thinking when you're seeing these two grabbing extra phasers?
What do I see when I see them picking up their extra phasers? I probably want a cannon is probably what I want.
Great.
Phasers, I would like my laser cannon.
Excellent. Perfect. Okay, so where are you beaming down? Let me find
Very good
where
question.
you are beaming down.
Halfway through a wall. No.
And when Rakan steps onto
O'Malley,
the transporter
no.
pad, you see him go preternaturally still. Like,
Just, I'm not moving.
at all.
Okay, so I now know where you're beaming down. So, the familiar blue glow comes over your eyes, and in one moment you're in the transporter room with O'Malley, and then the next moment you are in a dark-ish room. It is, according to a quick tricorder check, the second floor of the facility. I'm just going to make it easy, the westernmost room on the second floor of the facility. And with that, the equipment is lying all around you in shambles. There are still some things against the wall that are salvageable that you notice, Spana. And the lighting in the room is dim due to standardized lighting. It's flickering that wonderful, annoying orange color with the occasional red alert light kind of like slowly going. Yes, Lex.
Okay, so two quick things. One is there a way to access a panel that will give us a map of this facility?
Definitely.
We're going. That is high priority. The second thing is when looking at the things that are on the floor, have these things look like they have been torn out, shot out, ripped out, destroyed, removed for transport? I mean, what is the first impression that we have of the machines themselves?
So, Lex, you, as a previous security officer, can tell there's definitely some weapon scoring over a lot of the equipment along the walls. Everything that's on the floor and scattered about the room has been purposely torn out, very hastily removed and trying to like smashed and attempted to it looks like they didn't want the equipment to work at all or even try and be repairable, whoever did it. There's only a little bit of weapon scoring with your special eyes of being a security officer is definitely from pretty standard mining lasers. They will give you a nasty burn when made contact with skin, but won't kill you unless it hits the right bits of you.
I will inform the rest that they are most likely holding mining lasers.
But there's
Hey.
definitely no actual like phaser scoring. There's no like nothing that you recognize as a standard issue phaser mark anywhere. So you've arrived in the room. Bana, I'm
So-
guessing you're immediately running to equipment.
Yes. Well, actually, very specifically, the captain wanted a map of the facilities. If I've got to do hardware repairs to life support systems, I have to know where the hell those are.
Yes. So
Because first things first, we have to be able to breathe in here.
yes, correct. You will definitely have plenty of time to breathe and get the work done. It's not like it's that desperate of a situation. The first panel that you go to is scored via the mining laser scoring, but it is workable. It's just dirty. And what you come across is because the ship is controlling the processing of all of the computers on this mining station, it takes a second for everything to really come up, and it's kind of like it's a zoom lag for your input. Don't boom. It'll in terms of what you're familiar with, it's nowhere near instantaneous. But it's workable. It's just annoying. You're able to pull up a map of the facility and get it out to everyone's tricorders. You notice that there is 3 main levels to the facility. Ow. 3 main levels to the facility, and you are on the topmost floor, with the ground level floor being floor 1, and there is 1 level below that, where you could tell there is supposed to be mining equipment. But before we continue, let's take a small break. And yes, dial up squealing. You're definitely summoning the devil at this point.
Dong, dong.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
oh, great.
Exactly.
Demons in mining colonies. When does the doctor show up?
Facts. All right, everyone, go do a bio break if you need to.
Yep.
Grab a snack. Do what you need to. Mostly because I need to go to the bathroom too.
Oy. Okay. Hold on. Eh.
I hope you're liking everything, Ken, because you're probably the only one watching us. Jeez. Also, hello, Strix. Good to see you. Not actually see you. Oh dear. Oh my. Okay. That awkward moment. Okay.
Damn it.
What are we damning?
We are damning that in the time I have been in here, the vacation rental we were looking at got booked.
Dear Jesus. I'm
I mean,
sorry.
I'll find another place. It just pisses me off. It was little cabin situated in the middle of 5 acres. We wouldn't see another living fucking soul.
Amazing. That sounds great.
I miss people.
Oh, I don't. I see them far too often.
I say I miss people, but not until I've had my second shot. Thanks. Once that's done, I can go somewhere with people and not be terrified.
You're muted, Alex.
So just checking in, Tyler.
Yeah.
Wait, I'll just write this. 'Cause I don't know if
Do you
we're
just want to
recording
write that? Yeah.
We're
Go
not
ahead.
recording.
We
I
are
mean,
recording.
well, it's on the YouTubes. So just go ahead and write it. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I know at least one person is watching this because we're getting commentary.
I'll try to comment.
Seriously?
It's on now? Oh my god.
Yeah, because Ken and Strix are our only patrons, they have access to the live show without actually, commenting or anything. So, hi
Yes.
guys, it's great to,
Hi, friends.
hi.
Hey, y'all.
Yes, if you look at the Starship Insignia channel on the Discord.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, the moment you said that was supposed to be a thing, I was like, oh great, I can throw something else into the universe.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if we had changed that. That's
No. I had forgotten, so don't worry. I can fix my own.
I was like, I can run with either way. Tell me.
I can fix my own GM mistake in universe.
Yeah. All good.
I'm glad we
Okay.
both had the same idea, Abe.
Oh no.
Ice cream. Okay.
Oh, well.
All right,
What
we
would
good?
you do for a Klondike bar?
Nothing. I have my almond milk black cherry.
Hmm. All right.
I haven't had
everyone
ice cream in a year.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
Although I will say, when we don't do ice cream, we do Ciao Bella. Ciao Bella has a sorbet, a blood orange sorbet. It's award winning. It is amazing.
That sounds fantastic.
And then they have a blackberry cabernet, which is the best thing.
Oh,
Red meat. It's just
stop it.
so good.
Oh,
So good. And it's dairy free. No.
Justin's like, God damn it.
Curse your diabetes.
I get
Don't
it.
worry, Justin. I'll eat ice cream for you when I'm done with this one.
Thank you. Your support is greatly fucking appreciated.
Great. All right. So, and
Know what I'm doing with
so-
that extra phaser now.
and so,
Justin, if we ever do the thing where all of us get together for a whole bunch of food,
Oh,
I
yes.
am definitely bringing you some Halo Top, because they have completely vegan and low carb, low sugar ice cream that actually tastes really,
So
really good.
Mm.
so good.
But they also have some that taste really, really bad.
Yeah, you
They
have to get the
do.
right flavors.
They do, but from my keto days, I sampled all of them, so I know which ones actually taste good. I did the hard work for you.
Okay, everyone good. Everyone refreshed for a minute.
No, I'm more neutral than good.
No.
That's neither here nor there.
Yes, we're
Yeah,
chaotic.
playing a
Chaotic
chaotic
angel.
Vulcan is a choice.
You said I could rebel.
That's fine. It's cool. I'm rolling with it.
Is
So,
it really chaotic if their rule is to continue to not follow the rules, because that's a self-imposed rule?
Okay, now I have to go back and look at the
alignment chart.
values.
Jesus.
My values.
Oh, jeez. Okay. And so, to try and wrangle the cast, I'm editing face right now, and the amount of times it makes me laugh.
All I
every
can say is I
time.
feel your pain.
It makes me laugh. So you definitely have you definitely have gotten the map. You sent it to everyone, and you're already in the nitty-gritty of the operating system, which is about 7 operating systems old at this point. This company does not like to update their systems at all. It's not unfamiliar for you. It's just old and slow, and brought even slower because we're trying to summon the devil with the dial-up. The amount of equipment around the station, though, that is still in relatively functional order, is enough to get life support back up and running to more than just minimal, but habitable for now. The power that the station has is fine for right now. There's plenty of available generator power. It's not like that's gone offline. And basically, the moment that you finally hit the final commands, it's been about 5-10 minutes of you just tip-tapping away. The lights actually come on just a little bit brighter. And you kind of hear that a little bit. And you also do the wonderful thing of shutting off the annoying red alert light, because let's be real, who likes a red light always flashing in their eyes? It's really great in tense situations. So in that 5-10 minutes that Bana has been tip-tapping away, what has Trop, Rakan, and Lex been doing?
Trop would be immediately seeing if there are any computers that are somewhat functional, to take a look at the logs over the last couple of days to see if there's any note as to when things started to go wrong or odd, or anything basically that he can find on that.
Since you're mostly in the life support room in general, you can find another terminal, but these computer systems aren't necessarily as integrated as a Starship would, where you can, pull information about anything from any terminal. You can pull in the life support logs, which would give you an indication that life support went offline or down to minimal, as you can see, probably about 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
It's been down for a couple of weeks now. And you can tell, actually, that the message that was sent to you, that was sent out, actually came from this room, based on the terminal that you're standing at and the look of the wall behind you. So it was out of this room that the message was sent.
What time
and
was
Lex,
it sent?
yes. Go ahead, Trop, sorry.
What time was it sent?
It was sent around sometime in the afternoon.
Well, I mean, so we know that the life support logs say that life support went to this state about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The message itself, what day in terms of between then and now was that actually sent?
It was sent by the computer, according to the logs that you're looking at, only a week ago. However, you can pull up the log on what was actually recorded on this terminal, which that message was, but it was recorded 2 weeks ago. So so you're looking at this and you're like, the communication system sent a message that was supposed to be sent 2 weeks ago, a week ago. What the hell?
Is there any way I can dig a little deeper and see, like, what specific, what was programmed about this message as the, like, trigger to actually send it?
Okay, great. I like that idea. I'm loving that. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. And Trop, I'm gonna make you do something in engineering, and I'm gonna make you do engineering and insight with a difficulty level of 2.
Okay.
You have
We
8
what,
momentum to use.
I was gonna say we've got 8, 9 momentum. I'll go ahead and buy one.
Okay.
Because for me, insight and engineering is only a 12.
Go right ahead.
Turns out I didn't need it. That's a 2, a 9, and a 12.
2, 9, 12. Okay. Right.
Down to 7, up to 1.
Well, we're back up to 8. So.
Yep.
So with that, you're able to figure out that after the message was recorded, it was meant to be sent immediately. However, there was an interruption in the communication systems from somewhere. You can't tell, but basically something put a firewall up to block the message from going out.
Okay. Trop would immediately notify Bana. I mean, he would say it out loud, so anybody who was in the room, but he would immediately say, Bana, be aware there was something that deliberately appeared, for all intents and purposes, deliberately prevented an outgoing message for about a week after it was supposed to have been sent. We're going to have to keep an eye on anything that goes through these computer systems to keep an eye out for any tampering or interference.
Good enough. Thank you.
I would say anything of ours that touch these systems, we destroy before taking back on the Insignia.
Or at least reset to previous state, yeah.
Okay, one of the things that I want to test when Trop says that, well, Banna's been doing this. I've been doing 2 things, but one of them was the idea of if they're armed with mining lasers, are the mining lasers individually directed, or is that directed by a set machine? Like they were all on a conveyor belt and they would be worked with a central processor, as opposed to that they're individually manned. Is this centralized or not?
The mining lasers that would have been used to make the marks that you have seen are individual, like, mining lasers. So, like, it would be an individualized equipment to try and get into a more precise location than the bigger equipment would be.
Okay, I was going to try and see if I could shut them down so that we would disarm them potentially. But if that doesn't work, then the test that I'd like to run with TROPS information that somebody is stopping this information from getting out is to see if I can shut down any centralized laser system. It won't touch theirs, but it's also not going to indicate that we know that they have them. But if I look to try and shut that down from a security point of view, I want to see if they'll stop it. If that's still going on now, then my next target, after looking at the map and studying as I put in the back channel to my GM, I would be heading down and be interested to go into cargo bay on the ground floor.
Think of these mining lasers much like your own personal phasers. There's not really any way to kind of hack them to turn them off or shut them down. However, since they do work like phasers, there is technology such as like Star Trek equivalent of an EM pulse that you could potentially take down these types of weapons. However, it would be localized. You wouldn't be able to send a pulse through any sort of emitters or anything throughout the facility. It would have to be some sort of handheld type device to attempt to disable.
And I follow that. Yes, we'll be talking to Benna about that shortly. What I was going to do then is trying not to indicate to whomever is behind this that we know that they are likely armed with mining lasers, but that there is in fact equipment here that we would then, out of protocol, shut down. I would want to, it's sort of like a mousetrap. I would like to shut this down or attempt to shut it down to see if they stop the signal. Does that make sense?
Interesting. Yeah. I know exactly where you're going at. As in, Starfleet comes across a mining situation that something has happened, so therefore there are going to be protocols that Starfleet takes to ensure that, the technology doesn't fall into the wrong hands, the facility needs to be properly shut down, all of that sort of deal. So you're going to basically progressively shut things down in order to protocol.
I want to do the first one in order to see if A, they stop it, and B, it will tell anyone here who's from Starfleet, specifically my commander, that we're here.
Okay. Yeah, that's something you can definitely do. So the first things that Starfleet officers would do in a situation like this would be taking the mining equipment offline, the big mining equipment. Fortunately, that was done for you. The next step
by the explosions.
By the
Yeah.
Offline.
The next step would definitely be removing any sort of particular cargo out of the various cargo holds. So the first thing to go would be the dilithium. The next thing to go would be any sort of medical supplies. If you had no indication of life, then you would just start removing everything, because technically this is property of the Federation ultimately, so you would want to get it back to the Federation. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different cargo bays throughout the entire facility. 1 on the floor, 2 on the current floor, 1, 2, 3 on the floor below you, and with 1 that you had indicated that you were specifically looking for. And then 1 in the basement area with the mining equipment that also holds things. So,
okay. So whomever's going to be doing what they're going to be doing here, I would turn to everyone and say, we're going to be heading down to cargo bay on the ground floor. We're going to follow the water. Because if anyone here survived any organic, they're going to need water for 2 weeks. If they're hiding out, that's where they're going to be.
And there's definitely backup rationed water. There are obviously replicators on the station. However, clearly they were also destroyed in some way, and it's one of those systems that you can't really get a look at. Basically, Bonnie, you were able to bring up the basic life supports: breathing, lighting. The next thing to come would be, even grav plating, I would say. The next things would then be the food systems. However, on your maps, you would also notice that there is a proper galley in this facility on this floor that would have housed actual cooking equipment as well. Trop.
Trop would quickly turn to the captain and just, mostly just for confirmation, but saying, Captain, obviously with the events in the last few years, the relationship between the Federation and synthetics is shaky at best. If I could recommend that we still have our phasers set to stun in such a way that they would not damage any synthetic life forms that we come across, regardless of whether they intend us harm, simply because we don't want to create another diplomatic incident.
I believe that stun still works on synthetics.
It's a higher setting than there's I think up to 10 different settings on modern phaser. 10 is vaporize, 9, 8, 7 are kill, and then 6 to 1 are stun at various things. You have to set it to basically 6, but still works. You're fine.
Basically, he's just confirming that everybody's on the same page of not setting it to kill, because, given that synthetics were within the last year just unbanned and recognized as a separate life form, he wanted to make sure that everybody was on the same page of that, because undoubtedly there might have been some people who may not think of that. So
we're not considering that this is a matter of synthetic versus organic. What we're looking right now is mutiny and traitor.
Understood.
Okay. So, Lex, you want to go down? Did I answer all your questions?
I think Rakan was one of the people who was waiting for
Rakan.
So you said there were synthetic life, a plethora of synthetic life forms on the planet, right? When we did the initial scan. Could we tell if they were moving about?
Yes. They were moving, not a lot, but they were moving. Almost like if you were to look at their pathing long enough, it would have been fairly routine movement, same path all the time.
Yeah, but we also, now that we're here, we see there's mining laser damage. Things have been ripped out. We don't know who did it. Rakan's going to hit his communicator. Rakan to Insignia.
This is the Insignia.
Can you keep a active scan running and let us know if any life forms approach the away team?
Yaz responds from the bridge and says, "We are already working on that, Ensign Rakan. Thank you for your insight."
We have proof of malicious intent and are proceeding with caution.
Thank you. Lex, do you need to say anything to Yaz before the Insignia bows out? Okay.
No, I'm looking for, we're looking out for the Yorkshire.
Yes.
Any sign of that shuttle? And especially confirmation of Commander Morali.
And we had locations of the organic bodies in the facility, correct?
Yes.
Where are they in regards to where the bays are?
So in terms of where the synthetic life forms are, the synthetic life forms are not with the organic bodies.
No,
That's not what you were asking?
No, I'm looking specifically where are the bodies, the organic
Oh.
bodies.
They have been left in the what you would see on your map as the organic life form crew barracks.
Captain, permission to go to the barracks to see if we can identify these bodies.
Permission granted, but I'm looking for those people who are who are not yet bodies. They
Excellent.
have precedence.
So, anything else to do in this room, or any other actions needing to be taken with the life support systems? How is the party going to split? Is the party going to split? What's the plan, Stan?
Rakan just said that he'd like to go and identify the bodies and get data from that. And Lex granted permission. My interest is trying to locate people before they became bodies. So if anybody's in survival, they're going to probably be in that cargo bay. I'm also interested in getting a very large mining laser.
What, do you want to install it on the ship? Come on!
I want to carry it right now.
I bet I can make that happen.
Okay.
Said that they were individual.
Okay. Okay,
I'm
so
not taking at your word.
who's going with whom?
I'm with the captain because I want a shot at rigging up her a freaking laser.
Okay.
Unless Rakan wanted to go somewhere different, Trop would also go with the captain. But if Rakan wanted to go somewhere else, then he would make sure that nobody goes off anywhere alone.
Well, then we're splitting the party because
We're splitting the party. I don't, and that's why I was curious to say, what is Rakan trying to get information from those bodies? Do you need that information now, or can we try and locate people first?
The scan before we came down said there was no life forms other than synthetics.
Uh-huh.
Or did I mishear that, Tyler?
No,
that was scan that was on the surface scan, and we're going down.
The results of the scan, as per GM, was that there were the 4 bodies that we could detect on the surface. However, there was too much interference for the lower levels for us to confirm whether there was anybody whether there was any organic life there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it would be a quick stop by the barracks before going down to identify these 2 bodies to see if they are who we are looking for before heading down.
I, as the GM, will tell you, it's along the way.
Okay.
Yeah, since we don't have a copy of the map.
It's along the way. It's fine.
Okay.
You're perfectly okay to make a stop by.
Yeah. Plus, it would let us know if they died of deprivation of life support systems or if they were attacked, so we know how to proceed going forward.
All right.
Did we have a copy of that message that went out? Was there a copy that was made on our ship on the Insignia?
Yes. He would have. I'm assuming that pretty much any distress signal needs to be copied to somewhere for Starfleet records.
You can pull it up. It's not hard. Did you want to watch it?
Yeah, I wanted to confirm.
Okay.
He'd be able to pull it up for you.
A second look at it shows you, yes, indeed, the room that you're in is the room that it was recorded in. However, Lex, watching it again, you notice the cadence of her voice doesn't match what you would know of her.
Uh-huh.
It's the speech pattern's different. The facial movement is familiar but off. It's almost like someone's playing her.
Mm-hmm.
Based off of her record and her psychological profile.
Head a bed trap. And head a
Okay.
nap.
All right. So the party is walking and walking. Okay, so to the north end of the room is the door out into the hallway. And as you leave the hallway, as you lead into the hallway, the hallway's a disaster. Beams from the ceiling are down, standard clutter of, glass, all that. Oh, I love the back channel chat. It's great. So directly in front of you is actually an equipment room that, according to your map, houses EVA suits in case there are any sort of environmental leaks, because technically just outside the door of this facility is the vacuum, because you are on an asteroid. As you walk down the hallway to get to the room with the stairs, you have to make a quick right. And you're basically, as you make a right, you're against the wall of the room you were just in, and on the other side is basically a giant open hole looking downwards. As you look, if you were to look over the railing, you would see the big mining laser, the big mining drill meant for the dilithium, and you would see that yes, it was indeed exploded, shattered. It would have taken somebody very skilled to make that kind of damage, Bana. It was critically blown up. It's a wonder that the rest of the facility didn't go with it. They built these facilities pretty hardy for that reason. As you go down the hallway, you're not coming across anything. It's pretty eerily quiet, except for as you walk by a door, you hear the tinging of footsteps on the deck plating in a room directly to your right. If you were to throw up a quick tricorder scan, you would notice that there are actually 3 of those synths that we were talking about in that room. And yes, they are holding mining lasers. However, one of them is actually holding a proper Starfleet standard issue Type 2 phaser. Odd in a mining facility like this that there would be one floating around. Do you walk by? Do you want to engage? It's up to you guys.
Since we don't have a little EMP device at our disposal at the moment, we do have everyone's got phaser set
Yeah,
and stuff.
everyone's got phaser set to stun.
And I believe we'll have the drop, correct?
Yeah, as far as you can tell, their backs are facing the door.
I would like to test that theory.
Okay. Here we go. Let me pull up combat rules. All right.
So is this going to be a synchronized?
It better be. Jesus. Okay, hold on. Let me pull up combat rules, because how often do we have to do combat? We don't.
Not very.
Last time we did combat, somebody died.
Ooh.
Let's not do that again.
You're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted, Justin.
Did Lex actually talk to Bana about the EMP?
Yeah, we talked about it when we were.
That's okay. That's right. So the whole time he was walking, he would have been sitting there fiddling, like getting ready for this. I mean, he can walk and engineer at the same time. No, he's got a tricorder and something he can use to overload the power supply.
No. You have 2 tricorders and 2 phasers extra.
Right. One he wants to be able to shoot with. The other, it would be a fairly simple matter to connect the power supply of the phaser to the tricorder. Just turn the thing into a radio transmitter, overpower it, and chuck it into a room.
Okay,
I love
engineering.
how our equipment all is like the reverse of like a sonic screwdriver. It's just instead of it can do everything, it just can blow up everything. That's
There you go.
what we've got here.
Welcome to being the Doc Browns of the universe.
No, Tristan, because I grabbed an extra tricorder and phaser for me, and then you're like, get me one. So I was like, extra tricorder and phaser for Bonner.
Okay, Fauna, make me a roll. Engineering and daring. So I believe that's 16 for you.
Okay.
I think. And make me a difficulty level of 2. Just simply because of the timing of this. Obviously,
Okay. Can I make an argument for jury rig?
difficulty level of 1.
Thank you.
Using jury rig already? Wow.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If it ever fit, I think it's now.
Yeah, right.
It's 2 successes.
Perfect. So you actually deftly put together the bits of technology in front of you in which you're actually able to make that secondary phaser, instead of it being a one-time yeet use, you're actually able to get it to be a wide beam EMP.
That's what I was hoping for. Good.
Yeah.
We don't want to blow the thing up. We just want.
It looks like a Franken machine, believe me. It requires 2 hands to hold, but you know what? It'll get the job done.
Mhm.
Okay. So
This would take the lasers offline. It will not take that phaser offline. Is that correct?
it would probably cause the phaser to the power supply to decouple, and it would probably set it to be overloaded. So it would turn into a tiny grenade.
Yeah, you're gonna blow them up. This is not under the stun thing. That's what I was trying.
I'm just saying that a normal Starfleet phaser, it'd probably decouple the power supply and make it go.
How well could I aim this thing?
That's going to be determined by a roll.
Okay.
So,
might I suggest
Once you're done, Rakon.
a hair delay before you fire that? We can take out the one holding the phaser so that he drops it. That way it doesn't damage him.
It's for me. I don't want to damage anybody. I just want to put them to sleep.
Drop.
Speaking of damaging, what exactly do EMPs do to synthetic life forms with positronic brains?
general knowledge of synthetic life forms with positronic brains. Yeah. Hi, Amber. These synthetic life forms are based off of Commander Data. Commander Data was pretty much immune to most standard EMP hits, or electronic pulse hits in general. It's when they started to get into the higher bands of attempting to decouple electronics that Data was more affected by. So these would probably be stunned for a moment, but not,
it would not
destroyed.
Okay.
Touch of migraine.
But potentially take out their lasers, right?
Yes.
Oh, you're definitely going to hit the
Guaranteed
lasers. Their brains, you might confuse them for a minute or so.
Yeah, that's mainly what Trump would be worried about is we're dealing with things that might be slightly more affected than a standard organic brain. Can we make, I just want to clarify and make sure that we're not going to be frying their brain in the process.
Hopefully disarm them and make them feel slightly drunk.
Yes, that.
Sounds good to me.
So
like after we opened our gift from the lieutenant.
What gift? I have no idea what you're talking about.
So
if we get through this, we'll have to remind ourselves
of the gift that definitely does not exist.
Yep. Correct. On the ship with the sensor thing that doesn't exist at all.
So many non-existent things. It's amazing.
weird.
Yeah.
So is that the plan, Captain? Is the plan to get the drop, stun, at least get the phaser out of the guy's hands so that Bana can then come in with the disabling of the mining lasers?
That is the plan. Alas, we will not be able to use the mining lasers then and carry them around and scare people. But, there should be another batch here somewhere.
It should be
You'll-
easy enough to bring those back on after the EMP has discharged.
Right now,
We'll see how the roll goes.
Yes. My hope would be to shoot the one, to stun the one with the laser in order to get it to drop and
Okay.
allow Vanna to get the rest. But we'll see who gets the drop faster.
Okay, so since this is not phaser fire is not an opposed roll. So what it's going to be is we are going to make a daring and a control and security task with a difficulty level of 2 for any person who is going to attempt to physically stun or knock out a phaser out of a hand or mining laser. If that's only one, I already have forgotten how many ones I have said are in this room. I think I said 3.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So
One with a phaser,
you've
two
already
with
got
mining
numbers.
lasers.
You've already got numbers on them. So whoever is going to do that phaser attack, roll me a control and security difficulty level of 2.
I definitely want to do that, and I would like to use some of our momentum.
Okay, so go ahead.
We don't want that to blow up.
Do you want 2 rules for me since I'm firing both, or just one?
It sounded like Lex wanted to fire the singular.
Oh,
I just wanted to get the one guy. If you want to shoot all of them, it's,
If you want to shoot the other 2,
The other
then
2.
your difficulty is actually going to go up to 4.
okay.
Okay. Lex, your one is difficulty level of 2 like normal for
Yep.
control and security. If you want to use a momentum, go right ahead. Just tell me how many you want to use.
7.
We have 8.
We had 8, and so you
8.
bought 1, 7. So I'm gonna buy 2.
Okay.
Okay, we're down to 5.
Okay. I'm using 1.
Okay.
That's a 1 and a 3, so that's 3.
And what was the difficulty?
2.
4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 successes.
I do not. I have 2. I have 2 successes.
2 successes is necessary to knock the phaser out.
Okay.
7 successes.
I
Fuck
rolled
you.
3 ones and
No.
a 3.
Oh my gosh. Rakan comes in sharpshooting.
So the captain
Dude,
goes in
Nice
and
shooting.
shoots the phaser. Rakan says, "Nice one, Captain. Allow me."
Okay.
It's the scene from Boondock Saints where he's standing in the middle of the sex room and he's like,
this is how I'm going to describe things to go on. Bana, make me a roll anyway. Make me a roll of I'm going to treat it as though it's an attack roll. So make me a control and security difficulty level of 2. Actually make it a daring and security with a difficulty level of 1 for me to fire your EMP. And there's 5 momentum if you want to use one. Okay. Tell me what you get, and I'll tell you what has happened.
It's back up to 8 momentum.
Oh, 8 momentum. Sorry.
That's a 16 and a nat 20.
Okay.
Did we just blow up our own lasers? Did we just blow up our own lasers?
Okay.
Our own phasers.
Okay. This is what's gonna happen. All right. Now that we have our rolls, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. So, Trop, you stand at the ready to You literally stand at the ready against the wall with your hand ready to just bop open the sliding door so it goes psh. And Lex and Rakan, you're literally like prepared. Like it is a full-on raid type style situation. You know, the US government coming in to take the oil sort of situation. And and then so what happens is drop, boom, Lex goes in first and aims deftly and takes the phaser out of the one synthetic's hand, who has actually been holding it kind of like this. So phaser hits the hand, knocks it out, and kind of tosses him a little bit forward. Rakan, Lex then ducks down like, whoosh. Rakan then just goes through the doorway and blasts the two other synthetics so hard that they actually they hit the back, so they go like boom. So they face plant, and the mining lasers basically fall onto the floor. Bana then comes behind as Rakan does the drop down to get the disabling happening. And what happens is Bana presses fire. And we have a Seamus Finnegan situation where there is a and you try to fire again and another and and then what happens is the two bits literally just shatter. Literally just all of it goes and everything crumbles down to the ground. And you're looking at bits of phaser and tricorder all over the ground, just absolutely destroyed. And
poor Lex and Rakan are just getting showered.
Rained on by bits of tricorder and phaser. Nothing blows up. Nothing, nothing goes completely wrong other than the equipment has been completely destroyed.
I probably should attach that to the blue wire. Sorry.
And you notice the blue wire is actually smoking a little bit because it wasn't connected.
We have two face planted and one who's disarmed with the laser, but he still has the mining laser.
He only had the phaser in his hand. There was only two.
The phaser in his hand. So he's disarmed, standing. The other two are down and the
down face planted, attempting to recover, but the mining lasers are out of their hands, and behind them, the one that was standing with the phaser has been knocked. Oh, what just the hell just happened?
Okay,
Bana, that's an impressive amount of disintegration, even for you.
It's never happened before.
I would bodily charge it.
So you gonna body check?
I'm gonna take him down. Yeah.
Okay. So that's another roll. Okay. That's gonna be a daring and security, with a difficulty level of 1, and I actually have to roll against you. Yep, that's fine. I need a list of.
And you said 2? Is that right?
Difficulty level of 1.
Okay. I'm going to take another one from
That's
Momentum.
Fine. That's fine. So you're going to roll 3 dice in total?
Yeah. Well, no, I rolled 2 dice. That's
okay.
fine. I did roll a natural 1, though.
Okay.
Yay.
Great.
Back up to 8.
And a 10 and a 18. So
Back up
the
to 9.
10 and the 160.
Okay. Yeah, so what happens is he rolled also a natural 1. However, you did get one more success. You actually didn't get a success on the 18. So you've got
She got one on the 10, though.
10 and then a 1, correct? So you
A
got
1,
3 all day?
10 and 18.
3 all day. Okay, so since you got one more than him, he actually attempted to turn around as you were football checking him. However, you football check him and you definitely knock him down to the ground. Did you want to grapple? Did you just want to knock him down to the ground and off his feet?
I wanted to pin him with my knee or my forearm on his throat and a phaser at his face.
Okay, so you definitely do that. However, I am going to make an attack roll against you because this thing is incredibly strong. Very much stronger than you are. So, let's see.
Just wanted to be very clear that he could see, to be fair, who had shot, who this was. We are Starfleet. This has to register. So his next move is his next move.
He got a nat 20, so...
He punched himself.
So, as he attempted to retaliate, you just make a quick movement with your knee on his throat to move him enough to... Now, your Starfleet security, you've known about synthetic life forms, and since this is based on Commander data, you were trained in where their off button would be. You are actually able to knock him over on his side a little bit and reach your hand around and jab him right in between the shoulder blades, which is where the off button is for any androids based on Lieutenant Commander data are. So you disable him. You basically turn him off. However, the other two are attempting to work their way off the ground now.
Shoots him again.
Okay, make me a roll. Yeah, it is. It is an. It's an. What'd you say?
Organ.
If you're gonna double phaser, yeah. Okay. And let me answer you, Lex.
And you said it's control and security?
Control and security, correct.
Yeah, so that's an 11 and a 7 and a 4 and an 11.
You once again phaser them, and this time you can tell that they are actually stunned this time. They as they were attempting to get up, they just down. And as a clarification for whoever watches this, it is considered knocking unconscious ever since the trial of Commander Data, back when he served aboard the USS Enterprise D, about the determination of whether or not he had personhood and his own rights. From that point on, Starfleet basically considered it a method of knocking unconscious as the androids retain their memory. It's not like they're destroyed or anything, but, you know, it's the equivalent of being knocked unconscious, although it's only used in life or death situations where one might retaliate. It's not used, you know, it's not used a lot, but it is allowed.
This would be a applicable situation.
Yeah, definitely a right along Lex's morals. It didn't, no worries there. So
Those ends. Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Once they're down,
Mm-hmm.
Bana would just walk over and boop, boop, make sure they're not getting back up until we have the situation under control.
Okay.
I mean, he's a cybernetic specialist. He knows where the freaking button is.
So, congratulations, you foiled my synthetic trap. What you do now? This is not the room you had intended to go to.
No, but we now have lasers.
You now have mining lasers, that is correct. In working order.
In working order.
And an extra phaser.
Right.
I'll just politely pick that up.
Pieces of equipment out of my hair and have
Yep. Just take
Oh, just
bits
got
of.
we're going Ellen Ripley on this one. So here we go.
Yeah. So you if you take a look around the room, you notice that this room is you notice that this is a room that they were actually working on repairs. They were attempting to get the equipment in this room back online. It's like they had though it's like they had forgotten the knowledge on how to repair this equipment. It's not that Bana, you would definitely notice that they had no idea what they were doing, which is weird because they're supposed to be mining synths and therefore very knowledgeable about all mining sort of equipment, including anything within the base. So there's that.
Also,
Go ahead.
sorry. Also very odd, given that the type of damage that we noticed was very targeted in such a way as to deliberately disable everything. Presumably anything that knew how to target it to turn it off and make it unusable would have the knowledge to undo that and how to turn it back on.
Why don't we do that? I like that.
Okay. Then first things first. Bana is going to look for a tricorder in the room that he didn't bring with him. Like in any piece of scanning gear that is not something he would have to burn before he returns to the ship.
Definitely you can find a older but still working tricorder in the room.
Good.
With the information that was provided to me on the malicious code from the virus, is there any information on signs when it comes to scanning, what to look for to find out if a synthetic life form has been affected?
Traditionally, what was known with what happened on Mars was those synthetic life forms actually all had blue eyes and they went red because drama. However, besides that telltale sign physically, there is no way until you actually start to decompile. You basically plug them into the computer and attempt to copy and decompile the code to discover this virus. It's what took so long for Starfleet.
Rakan's gonna lean down to one of them and roll it over and lift an eyelid.
You notice that the eyes in these particular ones, the eyes are completely darkened out, as though they were mechanical almost in nature. Normally with synths, that's not a case. However, this is a civilian company who is borrowing technology that they don't fully know how to fully implement correctly. So they make do with any sort of repairs that happen or any sort of modifications that they might make themselves. It's outside of the purview of the Federation. But Bana, you wanted to try something.
Well, first things first. Tricorder attached to one of these things, and start scanning for noticeable physical damage to their positronic nets. Has something damaged the hardware?
There is definitely bits in these three synths that have been damaged. However, the damage looks, if you were to guess, it was damage that had been done to themselves somehow.
That's weird.
As
Captain?
in, it wasn't invasive.
Fair. Captain, do you want me to bring one of these back online enough that you could talk to them? They might be able to give us some answers.
That would be ideal, but we don't know how many are left on this station. Did we have a number count when we made their initial scan from the Insignia?
12
We
on the
weren't able to
surface.
get-
I'm sorry?
12 for these 2 floors, which you just took 3 down.
I think we'll have another opportunity later.
As you wish, Captain.
This is still time sensitive, but I'm starting to have doubts as to who we will find. I'm still interested in going down to the cargo bay.
Okay. Does
Yes,
anyone else want to do something in this room?
Target
Okay.
practice seems so impractical.
Practiced.
It's time to-
So you who picked up the mining lasers? Okay, yeah, Lex, you definitely target practice with one of the walls, and yep, it works really nicely. The exact same scoring that you saw back at the other room. So you know for certain that this is what was making all of the damage look. So what happens is
I'm
you
not
leave the
sure we
room.
can set
Oh.
that to stun.
What'd you say?
I'm not sure we can set that to stun.
Bana?
Just for the record, Bonna kept that damn tricorder. And unless somebody else grabbed it, the phaser that had got knocked out of somebody's hand, he snatched that too.
He's gonna try again.
Damn right he is.
I have my own laser. I have my own phaser. I have this laser. Lex lifts it up, double checks that we're, where we are oriented towards the map that we have thought about to the
Mhm.
cargo bay and the
Yep.
direction that we're going to be going. Because you said this was en route,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Great. So she holds it up and she says, "All right, follow me and Ori. We're going."
Named her weapon.
Who's Ori?
The laser. Let's go.
All right. So the stairs are right nearby. You walk down the stairs, and right to your right, as you come down the stairs, is the barracks that we were talking about on the way, just like I said. And you look in, you open the door, and there is definitely bodies covered with bed sheets. They had been laid and covered at this point, and you actually notice a little further down the room. It's actually a rather long-ish room, and you notice that there's actually a synth on the far end of the room, tending to one of the bodies in the very back. Upon hearing the door open, he looks up and looks towards you and kind of does the familiar Data, huh? But doesn't make any hostile movement towards you. Doesn't make any movement at all, just looks at you and goes back to working on the body in front of him.
Can we get a slightly better definition of working on?
Working on is actually tending to wounds that the body had sustained. From this distance, you can tell that the body was definitely bleeding out. It's definitely dead. But this particular synth, I don't think understands that it's not coming back alive. And therefore attempting to fix things that really aren't doing much. As though stuck in a programming loop.
So this seems like a medical assigned synth that is attempting to attend the wounds of an organic
Correct.
life form. I understand.
And you'd actually notice that the synth itself is wearing all white. Meanwhile, the ones that you just saw were wearing all darker neutral tones. So all white with, you can't see with it, being a profile shot, you can't see if there's any sort of like cross or green or red cross or anything, but wearing all white.
I keep going.
Khan's going to walk in the room and fold the sheets back to identify the bodies to see if, because I'm assuming we have a roster of who should be here. Plus, we know we're looking for the people from the spaceship, so we know what they would look like.
So you pull back the sheets of the first couple of bodies right in front of you, and it matches the crew roster that your ship had. The photos are older but they match. The photos may have been from when they first joined the mining company as opposed to more recent photos. But it's definitely the crew of this station. However, there are a couple of notable beds that are missing bodies. So it's almost like they were assigned. So if you were to look at the names on your crew roster and match the faces, the beds and the bodies matched. However, the bodies have been placed, I would say, respectfully.
Gonna pull the sheet further back. Do I see any wound? Kind of damage? Any?
You're seeing cuts, scrapes, bumps, bruises, and scarring and physical burning of some cloth. It looks like this person may have been in a mining accident of some sort. However, nothing beyond that.
Quick scan. How long have they been deceased?
They have been deceased for about 2 weeks.
How many empty beds are in the room?
You're looking at 2 empty beds ultimately, and in a room of, there was only supposed to be about up to 10 people. So two beds are missing bodies, but there were 2 bodies in the inert shuttle. So,
and there is a third body wherever. Was the synth working on a body in a bed or on a table?
In a bed.
Okay.
Further down bed. So,
Okay.
Lex, you wanted to keep walking.
After Khan sees that, he'd walk back on the hall. Captain, looks like the entire crew of the colony is deceased.
Which leaves the unanswered question of who was in this shuttle and where were anyone who came down from the Yorkshire.
So, you're heading to the cargo bay still?
My question is that we still have the shuttle from the Yorkshire is here.
Correct.
Therefore, there are Starfleet that is still unaccounted for.
Correct.
That's who I'm looking for. And I would once again do a telepathy scan.
You're not feeling anything other than your current crew members.
Okay.
So you walk down the hall. It doesn't take long to get to the cargo bay that had the extra rations in it. You open the door and things have been turned over. However, what looks to be turned over is anything that housed dilithium, that was labeled for dilithium transport. And you're actually noticing some equipment that looks a little bit odd. Lex, you would have recognized some of this equipment as you saw it on Narenda Station not too long ago at this point. while you were waiting for the Insignia, the rest of the crew would definitely the rest of the ensigns would definitely see, oh, look, more Iconian technology. Great. That's always fun to see in a place that shouldn't have it. So that's what you're left with.
I curse the fact that Dax isn't here.
Rakan would look at Bana and Trop to make sure he's seeing what he's seeing.
Trop would give a single head nod and then an immediate, as in, don't say anything.
Justin, you're muted.
Justin, you're muted.
Justin, you're muted.
Every time.
Every
fucking
time.
Sorry, you didn't need to hear me eating dinner.
No.
I'm gonna make a sign that says "Justin, check your mic." Just hold it up.
No, Bana is wearing a facial expression you know full well means, well, fuck me.
As you're all contemplating your existence in the universe again, because this shit keeps coming up, behind you, you hear a rather processed voice that says, "You are not the crew of this station." Does anyone want to turn around?
So tempted to shoot back over my shoulder, but that is not what we're going to do.
There's a higher ranking officer here. Rakan is keeping his mouth shut.
I say, because Bana has the same instinct of just fuck.
Trop would
That once
be
already.
more of a
Dramatic.
Sure, hands down.
Drop turns like this. Bana turns with a hand on either phaser as he's.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that. So Lex is carrying a mining laser.
Yeah.
So when we turn around, there's still a mining laser.
In front of you, as you turn
Let me
around,
introduce you to Ori the mining laser. Okay, that's great. Okay.
as you turn around, you see in front of you, literally the face that you've seen 4 times now. It's another one of the synths. However, they're wearing a red uniform. Actually, in the no, they're not a red shirt. Stop it. They're not a
You
red
said
shirt.
red uniform. That's red shirt.
Hashtag rip. He's already gone.
no. In
But
this
we're in
era, red
TNG
is
era.
command.
Yellow shirts are red shirts.
All right.
So he's wearing a red uniform, and actually shows a rank pips, but there's no Starfleet badge or anything. And he just looks at you and says, "I mean you no harm." As I'm guessing Ori, the mining laser, is pointed at him.
Not intentionally. She just turned around.
I
No.
mean you no harm.
I'm sure the captain knows what muzzle discipline is. If that thing's pointed at him, no, she means it.
I am the foreman of the rest of the synths here. How can I help you, Starfleet officers? And Starfleet officers is like Starfleet officers.
Mhm.
Capital S, capital F.
What is your name?
So he said he's the foreman of the rest of the synths.
He's the foreman of the synths, correct?
We
And
can try
Trop
responding. What?
actually asked a question.
Sorry, go ahead.
What is your name? Or designation?
You see that his brain takes a minute to think. It's taking him extra time to process, you could gather. However, he says, the miners called me Joe. Because I liked the taste of coffee.
It seems that the whole mining facility has been compromised. We'd like to have the sit stand down, report to quarters, and I'd like to have a report of to where the rest of the Federation crew is from the Yorkshire.
When you say Yorkshire, he goes, USS Yorkshire visited 2 weeks ago. Cargo, dilithium. Cargo, ancient earth books. Cargo, unknown technology. Cargo, medicine, first aid. Cargo, Ketracel White. And ends with the list. Since are returning to their alcoves. 3 synths are not responding.
That is fine. They are accounted for.
They are offline.
Sending synths. Alpha, Tango, Bravo. Thank you for informing me. I am sorry if they attempted hostilities. We are working on repairing programming.
Anna, can you please confirm about their programming with Joe here? I want to take a look, and we are in the cargo bay, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick scan of the cargo bay, giving the Iconian technology some wide berth. Because again, I wish that Dax were here, not knowing what these 3 know. Although clearly, I now know that these 3 know something. And walking around, doing quick scans and looking for what I would consider hidey holes. In my experience, when met with hostile force and looking for where we can hole up, having resources close by, you still want to be able to have yourself between shielding and any aggressors.
Okay. So Lex has asked Bana to take a look at Joe. Lex is going to take a look for any sort of defensible hiding locations. Does Rakan and Trop want to do anything?
Trop would go looking for the rest, basically double checking based on the list that was provided by Joe just now, basically going through a bit of a checklist of everything that's currently in the cargo bay and seeing whether everything seems to match and what exactly was meant by old Earth books.
Yes, that is what he said.
Ketracel White. So KETRACEL-white.
Would we know what that's for?
Yes, you would. Thank you for asking.
So I was afraid of.
For the player, what's that for?
I will explain that Ketracel White is the synthetic drug made by the Vorta and the Dominion to have their forces of the
Jem'Hadar.
Thank you. For the Jem'Hadar, they're soldiers to be addicted to in order to have loyalty towards them. It is a substance that the Jem'Hadar have been now specifically bred for their body chemistry to rely on. And the Vorta and the Dominion, the changelings, that were the head of the Dominion, specifically used it as a controlling power during the Dominion War. However, after the Dominion War, a lot of Jem'Hadar had decided to attempt to make their own societies outside of the influence of the Dominion and attempt to find a supplement that would fill the chemical necessity that Ketracel White has. The Federation and Starfleet know of some locations in the Alpha Quadrant that those places are. However, they're probably going to be a little more, spread out here in the Gamma Quadrant where they're originally from. However, there is still Jem'Hadar working for the Dominion.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are any of the crew assigned to the station Jem'Hadar?
No. You're looking at a standard mix of Federation hosting ship. You have a Vulcan, a human, an Andorian, a Tellarite. You're looking at just a general mix. Although physically steers more traditionally masculine looking.
Rakan's going to go look at everything that's supposed to be holding dilithium, since you said it was knocked over, to see if the dilithium is actually gone. And he's also going to try to locate the cargo of Ketracel White.
Okay.
So that it can be handled however Starfleet handles it.
Okay. So, yeah. I know that Trop was also looking through the cargo for the list. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and resolve what everyone wants to do. Lex, I'm going to work with you first, then I'll move on to Bana, and then Rakan and Trop. How does that sound?
It's fine. I was just going to say, when Lex heard the list, when Joe was going through the list and heard Ketracel White, it would have been a physical reaction. There would have been a
a tensing.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all would have, knowing what it is.
So
possibly for different reasons.
So Lex, as you're looking around the cargo hold, you're fairly adept at finding places that would be defensible, easily removable panels of the wall. Fortunately, this is not a well-made... I mean, it's a decent enough place. However, it's not super well-made. It's not like you have to, phaser weld out panels. You could probably... The couple of positions are big enough, probably, for a shorter bipedal being. None of them really look used. And actually, one of the paneling you find a granola bar of all things, but a denobulin granola bar. That is actually it's a treat throughout the Federation because you can only really get them on Denobula. And you also find next to that granola bar a pad. And that pad is completely unlocked. You can actually pick it up and start reading through it. But before we get to what's on that pad, Bana.
Yes.
As the camera pans over to Bana, what is Bana doing with Joe?
Well, the captain wanted me to check out and see how this thing's programming had been altered. And so Bana is, what are the alterations?
Mm-hmm.
Can we find out when they happened?
Mm-hmm.
To what end? How are they being repaired? And the whole time, he's keeping up an audible conversation with Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wants to see, as he's talking to him, do the timings of the response change what can Bana see in code that Joe can't say out loud? So he would be asking things like, okay, so I'm going to work on you a little bit. Do you remember when this first happened to you?
And what you would see is Joe is definitely attempting to hold conversation. You can tell that's what he was programmed for, is to be an interface, which the programming is quite unique in what you've known of cybernetics in general. You can tell that this was made specifically to be an interface with the, organic crew against the synthetic crew, and meant to be more personable in a way. As an interaction, as you're getting responses from Joe, you can tell that the programming lag or the speaking lag is coming from programming attempting to reroute him to say something else. But you can see that there's also conflicting programming that is attempting to reroute the reroute back to what it's originally doing. So there was something that had changed about Joe, and then something or someone attempted to fix Joe, not necessarily understanding how the breaking happened, but attempting to, connect the blue wire instead. And I'm guessing Rakan shared the information of what Rakan shared the information with you. So,
Of course.
so many presents.
Yes, falafel.
Ooh.
So as he's doing this, I mean, Bono would be trying to basically isolate whatever the original problem was, whatever the original piece of code was, and basically just start sectioning it off from the rest of the interface.
Just like you did with Deep Space Nine.
Yep.
And
Build the firewalls.
Yep. And as he's doing it, starts asking questions about if any of the crew or synths had interacted with the Iconian tech.
As you're going through that, I will say this is going to take some time, so we'll move on to Rakan and Trop, and also give you a moment to eat some falafel. So Rakan and Trop, you're looking through the cargo and attempting to figure out where things were placed, if things were placed in the right containers. Trop, remind me what else you were attempting to figure out from looking at all of the cargo.
Specifically, what he meant by old Earth books.
Okay, great. So with that, I'll start with you, Trop. Old Earth books. Surprisingly, you don't see any in this particular cargo bay. However, Joe had sent to your tricorders, as Bono was working on him, cargo manifests for all of the different cargo bays that the place has. And you notice that actually in the subterranean cargo base, cargo hold is temperature and moisture controlled. And that's actually where a lot of on the manifest is a lot of antique type books. So you're looking at things such as A Tale of Two Cities. You're looking at things such as a couple of Yale Shakespeare's. You're looking at basically books from the late 20th, early 21st century that are very rare to find and honestly are collector's items and can go for a very high price to those interested in collecting Earth memorabilia. And it's a little bit odd that a random mining platform would have such books. But there's no indication as to why. It's just there is a lot. However, the cargo manifest that Joe gave you is also updated to date, because it looks like Joe had done it himself at some point to make a tally list of everything that was taken by the Yorkshire. So every single one of those Earth books was taken. out of that cargo hold, as well as all of the dilithium from that particular cargo hold. Rakan, as you're looking through all of the containers here, yes, the dilithium was taken out of the cargo containers. However, it was taken out in a more manual way as opposed to transported out. And you even notice, Trop, that Joe did make a couple of notes about how containers were tossed and toppled a little bit, as opposed to everything, if it was transported out, it would have been neatly, there'd just be a dust ring, So you're noticing a lot of that, giving a wide berth of the Iconian technology. You're giving a wide berth. You don't want to even look at it. It's like it tempts you. It's like it's deep, boring deep into your soul. I don't know what happened to my pen. What the hell?
She's right there.
Funny. So Trop, Rakan, any other questions on searching? You were looking for Ketracel White, right, Rakan?
Yes.
Okay, so with the Ketracel White, you're noticing that once again, it wasn't held in this particular cargo hold, but with your updated tricorder information, it was held in the one of the upstairs cargo holds, and that everything was taken. It wasn't a lot of Ketracel White. It was probably enough to ensure the survival of a dozen or so Gem Hadar for maybe a week or two. But there's no origin point of the Ketracel White on the cargo manifest. It just is on the cargo manifest, and then Joe has indicated that it was removed.
By who?
It was by everything that Joe mentioned to you was removed by the crew of the Yorkshire.
Is there any reason that I could think of that a Starship crew would not use the transporter to move this cargo?
Yes.
It's odd. There is no reason that a Starship crew would not use a transporter, especially in a situation like this, in which you're looking at this and you're like, there's a shuttle from that starship there that's left over. The crew manually took things out of, cargo containers. This doesn't add up at all.
Rakan, to answer your question, there's really only one reason why somebody would go through the effort of manually moving all of these items as opposed to the vastly easier and much more routine method of using the transporter, and that's if they didn't want it on a transporter log. Which, between the fact that we have old Earth books, technology that is highly regulated in Starfleet and rarely even mentioned, a drug that we really shouldn't be involved in, and a whole bunch of dilithium that's for some reason being transported to and then taken away from a dilithium mining facility. That almost seems like a smuggling operation.
That was my thought. That, or it was not actually the crew that they're assuming it is.
Does seem like it would be a smuggling operation, and I would underscore that with the fact that the message was done by Commander Morali. But Commander Morali is dead and has been dead for some time.
So it seems like we have people playing Starfleet.
But it makes no sense to send out a distress signal. Have that distress signal held up for a week. Disguised as someone who doesn't exist in Starfleet.
Unless you wanted to wait to see who responded to potentially get more things to sell.
Or if they wanted to wait to see who would be in the area and change the message to specifically guide whoever was in the area.
Which
Use
means
a
they would have to
familiar
know that you're
face.
coming. Yes. My question is there anything that's on the shuttle that we could scan, such as the Ketracel White? The
So,
books?
when Trop mentions changing the message, you notice that certain pathways show up in Joe's brain, that he's trying to tell you something. But the firewalling that you're doing, that programming is going wild. And I'm going to actually have you roll to see if you can contain it. And give me
is Joe over there doing like the max headroom like that?
No, he's basically just like he wants to say something but he can't. So roll me a control and engineering difficulty level of 2.
Okay.
You have momentum, so use what you want.
Where's
I will.
Toulouse when we need her? I would offer to help, but I would probably get in your way, Bono.
Look, just because I blew up one fucking tricorder, I swear to God.
Sir,
Based on your time in the academy, we know it's more than one, but I still have complete faith in you.
Oh, jeez.
I have seen you blow up numerous things.
Sorry, Joe. I'm gonna buy
No.
I'm gonna buy 2 momentum.
That's fine.
And can I argue for my focus in cybernetics to make this a little easier?
Yes, but not for the reason you think.
That is, you said control and engineering?
Correct.
With a nat 1, an 8, and a 14, that's a total of 4 successes.
Perfect. So while you do have a great understanding of cybernetics, and you're definitely pulling that information, there's something else in the back of your head that just tells you that you know what to do. You're not sure what it is. You can't really place a specific past life to it, but there's definitely something. It's familiar in a way, but it's there, so you use it. You deftly cordon off the initial hostile programming completely, especially with all of those rolling successes. I really need to ask D&D players to use their D&D dice, not their cursed dice.
No, because then we would never fail. Or we would always fail.
And then, so what you do is you completely coordinate off, and you actually notice Joe take a complete, like, and looks around at the room and says, "I'm sorry. What? What is the star date?" 75784.5.
We would
75784.5.
We would give him the appropriate star date.
So he goes, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Because you have connected the ship to the station, he looks at all of you and he goes, "You're from the Insignia that is parked above, correct?"
Yes.
That is correct.
"I'm so sorry to have drawn your ship here."
Do you know why you drew it here?
"I was programmed to.
By?
A distress signal was supposed to be sent out 2 weeks ago over programming failures for the rest of the synth and myself from a Commander Morali, as she said. However, when no one was showing up, I was programmed to withhold the message for 1 week, knowing that a vessel would be entering the Gamma Quadrant and on this flight path.
If that was
I'm sorry.
overly-
Go ahead. Sorry.
He would wait, and if Joe started
Um,
talking again, he would stop.
I think that was your ship. I don't know
Somebody knew
why.
our flight path and programmed you to wait to release the distress signal to bring us here, specifically.
Yes.
And you say this
I be-
was Commander Morali.
They introduced themselves as Commander Morali of the USS Yorkshire. The Yorkshire was he takes a second to recall information. Ambassador class starship. Older than your current model. However, according to the station's data, the USS Yorkshire, as an Ambassador-class starship, was destroyed at Wolf 359. We questioned. The miners questioned. And then all of a sudden, I don't... Oh, those miners. Go ahead.
I think Justin had his finger up first. You're muted.
I'm thinking. So
Oh, okay.
you ask your question.
Rakan's gonna pull out his tricorder and pull up an image of Captain Nix
Okay.
and show it to Joe.
Okay.
Was this who presented themselves as the captain?
No. I don't remember seeing that face, only a Commander Morali's face.
Pull up an image of Captain Morali. Was this who presented?
That is Commander Morali. No one should have your flight path outside of Starfleet.
And theoretically, the Wellerman.
Theoretically, the Wellerman would know, but theoretically, the Wellerman would know. We're going to quickly, before I get to you, Trop. Before this, Lex had been looking at a pad with some information on it. The pad gave some information about, on the back, it was property of the USS Yorkshire. So on that pad is a manifest of the flight path of both the Insignia, the original flight path of the Wellerman before supposedly it had gone rogue, and the Yorkshire. However, all data on the ship itself is it's not there. It's just flight paths. Doesn't have an author on it, but it is signed by a Commander Morali. Trop, you had a question.
If
Hold on. Go ahead. I have to
Yeah.
answer.
So we have a ship that shouldn't be here and somebody who shouldn't be here. Knowing where we're going to be going well before we actually start our flight. We also have all of that happening directly around a location that has Iconian technology.
He said the word out loud. Does that bring
That's-
any reaction from anyone?
Yeah, Bono's like, Bono has no poker face.
Trop would immediately give Bana the look of, oh, please, like you couldn't tell that the captain knew what this was.
You said the quiet word out loud.
It's only a quiet word until it's strewn all over the floor.
Okay, so with that,
Bono is trying very hard not to think of something very in particular.
Joe goes, the miners, they did not think that Commander Morali was Commander Morali. And then, as you would put it, all hell broke loose.
Your miners were correct on that assumption, as Captain Morelli has been dead for quite some time.
What did the miners say that she was?
Stories and whispers. Nothing of note. Nothing that I can directly recall out of any memory banks I have access to. It was... They said it was a holographic image.
I've had enough of stories and whispers and memories. I like facts. And I pick up the granola bar, the package. I bring it to Rakan. I said, please scan this. See if there's denobulin DNA, please.
He pulls out his tricorder and proceeds to scan the granola bar.
There is not denobulin DNA on that granola bar. That granola bar is not even a granola bar.
What is it, sir?
It is something in the shape of a granola bar. The DNA structure, however, is not good. It's, if you were to bite into it, it would taste like chalk.
Is there any other DNA on it?
No.
Captain, there is no denobulin DNA. And it's not a granola bar?
Has it been synthesized?
One would guess it was cleverly synthesized, however, not with any sort of standard replicator.
In non-standard matters?
Are you
Rakan's
claiming
gonna
that
take-
Sorry, go ahead.
Rakan's going to take his fingers on one end of the bar and try to mush it to see if it, like, crumbles like chalk.
Oh, no, it crumbles like chalk. It was meant severely for looks.
I believe this was created and possibly planted. Would that be a good assumption?
It was planted alongside this pad in order to make it seem that this has all been done by Captain Morali. This is a very elaborate ruse.
Joe, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there was not a scheduled stop for the Yorkshire here. When they showed up, what reason did they give for being here?
The USS Yorkshire, Ambassador class, gave a reason of being here on a routine Starfleet check-in. Knowing the protocols of the Ditalics Mining Corporation, a routine Starfleet check-in is not routine. Starfleet tends to give us a wide berth, and only comes when we ask for help. We are independent of Starfleet, and we work under the purview of the Federation. Bana?
I didn't know Flex had a question first. Did they say why they left? He just points right at the Iconian gear. Why they left that?
That gear was found on this asteroid when we built this facility. We simply moved it into this cargo bay, not knowing what to do with it. However, there is some of that technology that was taken.
Could you describe what was taken?
A lot of cables and sections that, when put together, would in theory create a portcullis.
Is it protocol for the mining company to log anything found on the dig with photos and descriptions?
We sent a report when we first built this. We sent a report with this technological find. However, the Federation and Starfleet responded by asking us to simply lock it down behind secure.
Is that a yes or no? Do you have photos of everything you found in record?
One moment, please. He says, check your tricorder. On your tricorder, you have received images of what the structure looked like upon coming onto the asteroid. It was already destroyed. It was already in pieces and strewn about probably over a square kilometer. So all that they did was move the bits into the facility once they had it built.
But they didn't take pictures of each bit.
No, it just general pictures of the group of bits.
Wait, this is future tech. Khan's going to zoom in on the picture. Blow it up, zoom in, and
zoom and enhance.
Walk to the Iconian tech and begin to look to see what is there versus what is not there.
So, by the way, for the audience, the back channel chat is blowing the fuck up, and I love it. The entire cast is like, what the hell's going on? How do we do? What questions do we need to ask? It's great. So, you zoom and enhance, and you can see that there are definitely pieces. There are definitely pieces missing. That, in your experience, would ultimately create a gateway. The bits that are left are some of the controlling bits, some of the bits that you saw that Bana would have had to repair back on the Lemur planet.
We are very familiar with this technology because of our previous actions. So.
Yeah, no, you can definitely see that the bits that are missing from the pile that you're looking at would have been bits to create a gateway. However, you're noticing that in the original picture, there's not enough. Like, there's not enough raw material to make a gateway. There's definitely pieces missing.
Well, the only thing really left to do is check out that shuttle then and see whether it is actually what it appears to be.
My quick question is, are you saying that the technology that they found here was gateway technology, but some of it's missing?
Gateway technology that was already destroyed, and some of it was already missing when they found it.
Okay.
So there was a gateway here that was blown up. Parts were gone. The rest of it was dragged in here, and now more parts are gone.
Yes. That. So to answer your question, Rakan, the gateway for Iconian technology, as a reminder, is destroy. Complete destruction for Starfleet. Normally.
That's the technical protocol.
That's the technical protocol.
That's the one that's written down.
No, you got to understand. One of the things that you have to understand about the protocol that we have is for recognizable technology. And I am the ranking officer here. Clearly, you guys have some experience in this. We'll be discussing that later. But currently, I have no idea what this technology is. So technically, my
Excellent, Captain. I would like to bring it back on board.
We need to bring it back aboard. Yes, that's exactly correct.
Regardless of experience, we don't recognize these particular items.
I don't recognize this kind of technology, and therefore
not in this current configuration.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So yes, Lex, you definitely ask the Insignia to quote yoink the technology if you would like to. That's perfectly all right and well within your purview of bending the rules, not breaking. Bending rules.
We're not bending rules. We're not breaking rules. We have found unidentified technology that we need to research further. That is my story, and I am sticking to it.
Okay. Trop said that we should probably check the shuttle too. Bono, what do you have?
Based on experience that I definitely do not have, I would suggest that we do not put this equipment anywhere near the object that does not exist on the back side of the ship. Just
I would also not put it near our quarters.
It's going to go into a cargo bay securely.
Yes, we're gonna.
Yes, but there's a large cargo. The configuration of the ship is such that under the thing that does not exist is a shuttle bay. It doesn't go there.
No, it does. No, you're gonna.
Let me understand. Wait, let's just clarify. We have the thing that's attached to our ship that doesn't exist, the thing that's in your quarters that shouldn't exist, and the thing that we're bringing aboard that we don't know what it is because, of course, it doesn't exist.
Yes, Captain.
Excellent.
I believe that is an accurate description, Captain.
I believe.
Oh my!
This is Starfleet.
Welcome to Starfleet.
Welcome to Starfleet.
If we get any more holes in our story, it'll be larger than the hole in that torus they made out of a sun.
I am just glad I am not the one that will have to explain anything.
Oh no!
Okay.
By the look on her face, I'm pretty sure we're all going to have to explain things.
But we're not going to have to write the official reports. Do you have any idea how much longer that'll take?
What official reports? Nothing's happened.
Exactly.
We have three things that don't exist and one thing we don't know what it is. There's no paperwork. Let's go.
No.
Thank goodness for once.
Okay, so do we want to go to the shuttle? Do we just want to beam up and peace out? Like, what's the plan here?
We need to go see what's up with the shuttle.
This has been very elaborately planted. Not only did they know our flight path, they knew that I was going to be captaining this ship. They used an image that would bring us here. Once again, we are witness to an entire slaughter of people. There is some explaining to do.
Captain, would I be out of line asking who this person is?
Which person is?
This Captain Morale, was it?
Commander. Morale.
Commander Morale. Apologies.
That's all right. She's someone I knew at Starfleet. We were close friends as I made my transition into Starfleet Academy. I didn't come through normal channels. She's someone I knew quite well, and she's someone who, should I have received word, they knew I would come. However, there could only be a very slim chance of why, unless she had survived, which by all reports she had not. So, small hope. That's all.
Thank you, Captain.
But we should find out if this shuttle is in fact from the Yorkshire, and if there's anything involved. Because if this is a smuggling ring, and if it did have our flight path, and if it did originate through any one of the Wellerman, the Insignia, or the Yorkshire, that means that whoever is behind this is part of Starfleet.
It's directly going against all the Starfleet protocol for reasons that we cannot ascertain.
Well, if anyone within Starfleet would do that, there would be an organization that do not exist.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anna's trying not to think of pink elephants.
We'd like to find out about the shuttle, please.
And we're walking.
And we're getting environmental suits before
Right.
we're walking.
Yes.
Okay, so the shuttle fortunately is parked in a way that all you have to do is open up the garage doors and extend the force field out, so that way you have breathable air. I'm not gonna make you get on the environmental suits. Yes, sir.
Site-to-site transport exists.
That
Like we-
too. However, there's no air in that shuttle, so
Fair. Okay.
you know,
Yeah, so when
That
we
ship
open
has
the door-
crashed.
the shuttle is not crashed. It is nicely landed, and the shuttle that is one of their transport shuttles was crashed.
Crashed.
So when we
Yes.
open that door, it's going to go. And we're going to get a nice breeze.
You're going to get a nice breeze. Yes. Okay. So you make your way to the cargo loading bay, and Joe opens up the door, and since you had restored life support systems to a good point, he's actually able to create that wonderful glowing force field extending just a little bit out and around the shuttlecraft. You'll be actually stepping on asteroid rock, which will be fun. However, there is breathable air, so you don't have to worry about that. As the doors open and everything extends and everything, you walk up to the shuttle, and it's not locked. Weird. That's like rule number 1 of leaving a shuttle, is you lock the damn door. So you open the door, and it comes down, and you walk inside, and you're met with a standard-looking shuttle. Everything looks in its place.
Gonna scan it.
You're gonna scan it.
Yep. looking
Smart.
for
That's very smart.
Any compartments that shouldn't be there, any tech that shouldn't be there.
Perfect. Amazing. I love that. I love
Make sure
I
it's-
love everything about that.
Make sure it's
Um,
not really a granola bar.
Make sure it's not a granola bar.
Make sure
Oh,
it's not
dear.
a chalk structure disguised as
Okay.
shit.
This is what happens. You throw open the tricorder, and immediately you are met with, "What the fuck are you looking at, dude?" Because it's not a shuttle. At least not a shuttle that should exist.
It's a mimic.
No. Surprise!
The cat
You're in a
laughed,
mimic.
the shuttle
No.
laughed.
The teeth come running in.
Your feet are stuck to the floor. No.
Look, we're on an asteroid, okay? It's either the cave or the shuttle that's gonna
Hey.
take you.
One of them two is going to grow a mouth, and it's your son.
Okay. Actually, what your tricorder is showing you is that this is not made out of any standard Starfleet standard issue metal. It is an exact replica of a shuttle. It would work exactly like a shuttle if you were to turn it on. But it is not made out of a metal you recognize.
At all?
At all.
Not even
At all.
similar construct.
Nope.
Oh. Yeah.
There is tritanium in there to give it the look that it needs to, but it's mixed with things that make no sense.
Captain? This
Good.
isn't anything that we have record of.
See. So we have another thing that doesn't exist.
Now the only question of how to get something that doesn't exist to somewhere else that it shouldn't exist.
You drive it?
Well, that's very easy.
Do we want to try driving it, or do we
I
want
was about
to
to say,
use a
The shuttle works
transporter?
as a shuttle, even though it's not a shuttle. And it clearly shouldn't exist, and therefore definitely shouldn't exist on our ship. That's easy.
Correct, but the question still remains, do we drive it, or do we use the tractor beam?
I would track.
Does anyone want to try and turn it on?
Yes.
No.
Like, why isn't the engineer already like pressing buttons?
Like the engineer is this close to yanking a panel off and going.
Does Vana actually go up and attempt to start
If
the
no
boot up
one
sequence?
bodily stops him, yes. He wants to know if it works. If the not a shuttle can actually fly, or if it is not a flying thing. And more to the point, like, okay, so like figuring out the metal box and making the metal box look like the metal box actually really isn't that hard.
Right.
Replicating programming and control systems and all of these other things that Mana would know are very much required to make a ship function.
Correct.
Are those all actually what they appear to be? If he yanks off a panel, is he going to see?
Is he going to see empty hull space, or is he going to see all of the outrageous wiring that Starfleet panels
Turns
tend
around,
to
just
reveal?
looks at you. It's like from MIB. You take off the face, and there's this little guy.
Oh, jeez. Okay. No.
Or wiring he's never seen before. It's like circuit diagrams that shouldn't exist. I mean, that kind of,
With your engineer's insight, with your special eyes, you see it looks exactly like a Starfleet shuttle. Inside, too. It's made out of shit you don't know, but it looks exactly the same. It's like a carbon copy, except it's made out of shit you don't know.
Someone went way, way, way out of their way to recreate a functional shuttlecraft.
Well, we've now talked to, this is my leap here, going beyond the granola bar that isn't a granola bar, we were just talking to synthetic life. We have made those leaps in our time.
Mm-hmm.
What would it be to make the next synthetic of material that we don't even know?
There's a difference between the idea of a synthetic life and making something synthetic. If they wanted to, we already have the ability to basically 3D replicate whatever the hell we need. Whoever is doing this either somehow has the ability to make an exact replica of a Starfleet shuttle without the proper materials, or has the schematics but doesn't have the materials, which is almost more unbelievable. or has some reason to make it out of something that we don't recognize. And I don't know which is more disturbing.
No, there's a lot of disturbing because we were brought here. The Wellerman and Insignia and the Yorkshire were brought here purposefully.
By something that couldn't even be bothered to use our own materials.
And yet, as soon as they were discovered, everyone was slaughtered. And they adjusted the synthetics here instead of destroying them. Correct?
Might I suggest a potentially different scenario?
Mm-hmm. Please.
I'm assuming that Bana would have noted that somebody had attempted to fix Joe.
Yes. Bana engineers out loud.
Yes. Somebody would have had to be there to try to fix Joe. These people showed up and needed us to be here. Took some things with them. But we don't know whether they were the ones who caused the damage.
Well, we know that the Yorkshire showed up 2 weeks ago.
Correct.
And the requirement was that the distress signal would go out a week late. And from what Joe said, it was so that we would be in the flight path.
Correct.
A week later.
Correct. However, what if they were the ones who did the damage? What if they needed us to be here to discover the damage that they knew would occur because the miners knew that they were here? So, like you said, the Yorkshire and Captain Morale aren't supposed to be here. They were the ones who made sure that we would be here. But what if they knew that something else was coming and that something else was what damaged it? And in order to make sure that we got the information we needed, they needed whoever it was to think that the synthetics didn't know who they were. The miners might have been killed because they knew that Captain Morale was there. If they could make the synths think that there was nothing wrong, they might have been spared.
The problem is this has a lot of different variables. Occam's razor is the simplest answer is usually the correct one. And what we do know is that someone wanted us here, and here we are. Do we have the information or the materials we need, and what are we missing?
We're still missing at least one person who worked on Joe.
We're missing the answers of who began this, by your theory.
Yes. I think there are 3 parties at play here besides ourselves. Captain Morale and the Yorkshire, the miners and the synths at the mining operation, and an unknown third party that is potentially following Captain Morale.
It's not Captain Morale, and Captain Morale was never part of it.
Or whoever is pretending to be
Captain
Captain
Morale.
Morale.
She's an image to bring. Yes, Bana.
This is to DM for a moment. So Bana has gotten in a habit now, because this is 3 times, of isolating tricorders he doesn't really care about to store stuff. He wants to make sure it doesn't get attached to anything else. Yeah,
Definitely.
So he would have all of that malicious code sitting there on that tricorder waiting to be analyzed.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
We can okay.
That's fine.
Captain, we may not know who messed with Joe, He'd hold up the tricorder. But I think I may have their fingerprints. It'll just take some time to work it out.
Well, who all is left here? We have 1 dozen synths, 3 inactive, no minors, an Iconian piece, and whomever left, a granola bar and a shuttle that don't really exist. Am I missing anything?
The shuttle exists, but it shouldn't. It's materials that none of us have ever seen. Yes, DM.
Does it have any Iconian signature on it? The
No.
shuttle?
No. But Bana, after looking at the paneling and hearing this conversation and doing the responding, did you actually attempt to start the shuttle?
Oh, yes. I mean, once it's... I mean, he's going to power up all of the systems. He's not going to power up the engines.
Okay. It powers up. It works exactly as though you expected it. LCARS pops up onto the screen. Same operating system that you're running now. It is through and through a Federation shuttlecraft.
Same version?
Oh, yeah. It is... If you didn't know any better, you would say that this was a normal shuttlecraft.
This makes no sense. Why go to this much trouble? You could steal a shuttlecraft easier than you could do this.
But it catches the attention of someone in Federation.
Bana.
Yeah.
Help me pull off this panel and reveal the engine. Let's see if it looks any different than our normal ones.
Yep.
While they're working on that, Captain, if I may ask a question.
You may?
Permission for us to bring the synths who were involved in this mining operation aboard the ship, either deactivated or under strict supervision, not out of any sense of suspicion of them, but because the fact remains that, unfortunately, they are considered property of Starfleet, and if they are...
They are not the... Like, these synths are not considered property. They are considered their own beings. However, because they don't have the full independent thought, they are considered under the care of.
Yeah, but also this place is not Starfleet. They're its own company. That's what they said.
Yeah, go ahead.
So first off, I misunderstood what Tyler had been saying about how the company and Starfleet considered the synths. I thought that they considered them to be property, even though they shouldn't be. Secondly, it was established that anything that is there now technically falls to Starfleet.
Because of there was a disaster, technically Starfleet has the ability and or the responsibility to clean up and or, you know, do what they need to ensure that anything is cleaned up as necessary. So it's not a the company is not going to get mad that since we're taken off of a mining operation, because that is what Starfleet would have done had it come across a similar situation anywhere else.
So basically, Trop is asking for permission that we take them on board and that we, if possible, put in some paperwork to get them some less dangerous work on the ship, because
unfortunately we can't take a contingent of anyone. on board because we have things that aren't there. That is not something that we can do. It is something that we can report, and certainly this is going to be reported to Starfleet. But this is a contingent that is going to be responsible here at the mining facility. We're not going to abandon it. There also has to be a collection for those who need to be put to rest and their families informed. Also, I cannot, by my directive, involve more people on board our ship. This was a very carefully chosen group, and I can't even stress that enough, of who is allowed to be on this ship with what does not exist on our ship. So unfortunately, that is not an option for us. However, I do understand and appreciate where you're coming from, and we need to be sure that these people are going to be taken care of, whether they are organic or synth. We cannot leave them to that sort of fate.
Understood. One further concern, Captain. There is at least one synth who knows of several things on our ship already that should not exist. Do we allow them to continue and possibly give a full report of things that should not exist? Or do we consider them to now be a part of a scenario that should not have happened?
Are we talking about that you believe that Joe is compromised?
No, I'm talking about the fact that Joe knows that the shuttle exists and that the Iconian parts exist.
But they've known that all along. That was found here.
The Iconian parts, yes. The shuttle, no.
I don't know when the shuttle showed up. We have no records.
But if he reports that that shuttle is on our ship,
Well, only if the shuttle is on our ship. But if Joe went missing, that would cause, I think, more of a red flag than anything else. Again, I cannot allow people who are not cleared to be on our ship.
understood, Captain.
However, this still leaves us with a very interesting question of why? Who and why?
As you go to ponder the question of who and why, Rakan and Bana, what the hell you've been doing this?
Well, okay, so depending on the type of shuttlecraft, there's usually you have the nacelle sitting off to the side, but the actual core of the engine is like directly under the floor as you walk in.
Oh yeah, no, it's the normal spot of like where the warp core is, the small one. If you were to pick up where, if you were on like a big runabout where the transporter area would be, it's technically right there. It's tiny, but you know, it's right there.
Yep. So I believe that's what Rakan wanted to have a look at.
Yeah, it's everything else so far appears to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the system's fired up. They all queued off like they're supposed to. I want to see if the engine's the same or if it's something different build out, different materials.
Understood. Yep.
Anything.
So what you're looking at when you pull off the panel is, Bana, you look at it and you're like, that's a warp core. That's a shuttlecraft warp core. If you didn't know that was made out of different things, it runs on dilithium. It runs on, antimatter and matter being combined through the dilithium matrix to make the plasma to power the ship. It is through and through, like I said, a shuttlecraft that works. It looks, acts. It just made out of odd things.
Oh, look, it's a warp.
but not the right warp core.
Nope. Just more of the same.
This just keeps getting odder and odder.
So, as you're looking at the shuttle and all of its bits that exist but shouldn't exist, and according to Lex, don't exist. Joe comes up to the entrance of the shuttlecraft and says, "This came from the Yorkshire." He looks at it, and obviously he's an android, so he has special eyes. He says, "This is not tritanium."
Do you know what it is?
I do not.
Hmm.
It is different.
Maybe your eyes are malfunctioning. I should take a look at that for you. I'm sure this is just a normal shuttlecraft.
Oh yeah, the dilithium's real. Oh yeah. Everything's real. The dilithium is definitely...
I don't believe you.
Oh yeah. No, I know you don't believe me.
Not real stuff.
So Bonnie, you're gonna walk with Joe away from the shuttle for a little bit?
Yeah, because I've just heard this whole conversation between the captain and Trop about not leaving any evidence behind. And so I'm going to basically convince this android one way or another that the Yorkshire just happened to have left the shuttle and it's no big deal. We're going to pick it up and carry it back to them. Not a problem. Sorry, your programming is still a little bit screwed up there, buddy. I'm sure we can work that out.
Fortunately, he is one of the Daedalix androids, so he also has those kind of electronic looking eyes, so you know that it's not full on self-aware android situation going on. So it's not difficult for you to do the things. What do you do with the shuttlecraft in the meantime, rest of the crew?
Captain, do you want him to beam it back? You want us to fly it back? Or how do you want to proceed?
Well, you bring up a good question of where would we store it and whether it's going to react badly with the other things that don't exist on our ship.
Well, we can
I'm
always take
hesitant
it
to
in.
leave it since it seems to be left here for us or for the Yorkshire, but certainly for Starfleet. It's cheese on a mousetrap. The question is, do we take it or do we leave it for the next person to find?
There shouldn't be a next person to find if we've disabled the signal.
I think that's a luxury we can't afford.
Yeah, yes, Tappy knows.
So the thing is where Lex is coming from is Lex is going to make a report to Starfleet and send it off to them. Chances are what's going to happen, the process will be, is a starship that hangs around Deep Space Nine will be dispatched to come collect everything on this mining operation for the company to bring it back to the company. So yes, a Starfleet vessel will be returning to this location, and there will be a shuttlecraft that they will scan that shouldn't exist.
And if
My
we
worry
didn't
is that if this is a seed that's supposed to be on a starship, is it supposed to be on ours? Is it supposed to be on someone else's? Or should it be on anyone's? And given my druthers, and perhaps unfortunate for you, if there's a risk and there's a trap that's going to be set off, I'd rather be set off on my hand than anyone else's.
May I speak plainly?
Of course.
replace it with one of ours.
We can, although we will have to change all the information on it. This warp signature still is supposed to be from the Yorkshire. Is that correct when we scanned it?
Yeah, it looks like it came from the Yorkshire and all
Well,
of
I know
the...
the numbers were, but
Oh,
the
yeah.
warp...
mhm. Yep. Everything is Yorkshire related.
What if we found a crashed shuttle?
It could be a vaporized shuttle, but truly, as a scientist, this is something we've never seen before.
I know. That is why I want it. But if there is to be a shuttle here for Starfleet to recover, or bits of a starship to a shuttle for Starfleet to recover, replace it with one of ours, then we have room to store this one.
I know, but I like our shuttles. And I imagine we'll be needing to use them too. But it's a fair point.
Yeah, there's always the janky one over in 9B that nobody likes anyways.
There's always one of those.
Oh, the one that smells like
It always pulls to the
old
left.
shoes and swamp.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, it always pulls
Someone-
to the left.
Someone
No
took
one
it
can
out
figure
for-
out, not even
Yeah.
Bana.
Nobody knows why.
Right, about that time, Bana shows back up. Where did y'all land that thing anyway? I cannot get the spell of it to save my life.
Are you sure we'll be able to get
It's-
it down here properly? It might end up
Just
crashing
shove it off into the
anyways.
atmosphere. We'd be better off.
So perhaps a
Push it off the edge of the ship.
of our own.
Just like, and just have it.
Our report. We ended up needing to take a shuttle down, and it suffered an unfortunate accident, and we just didn't bother to take it up with us because it was the dud. There we go.
If the
Well, the
buggies
question
at the
is,
back
was-
right wheel goes. Wicka, 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 wicka,
We have to
wicka.
figure out that it will match the description that was
Oh,
given. here
easy,
about when
easy
New
enough
York-
to fake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy
I've
enough to
hacked
fake.
together enough junkers. We can, yes, Captain.
We are Starfleet officers. We can do anything we put our minds to.
Now,
With
see,
enough
that's what I'd
time
like to hear.
And the right equipment.
And
I
with
mean,
the
we do
captain's
have
permission.
an industrial replicator after all.
I don't even think I need buffer time for this.
No, you don't.
Let's make it happen, folks.
Okay,
I got-
and as you say that, we are going to wrap up. The camera pulls out to couple of you taking the shuttlecraft up and flying it. Bana probably because he wants to make sure that it runs ship shape and stuff. Probably.
Oh, no. I trust Truck to fly the thing. I'm just watching every system like a hawk to make sure nothing overloads as we're in flight.
Trump would not trust Trump to fly the thing, at least not without Bana on board.
And Bana's got like one hand on the emergency transporter just in case
Yeah,
he has
just
to yank everyone off the ship.
Yep.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, we would have had to explain to the ship that we were not
Oh.
being back, that we are
Yep.
bringing the shuttle back and
Mhm.
swap it out.
And you fly in, the shuttle is brought into the lower shuttle bay actually, and is replaced almost at the same time. A crew member has set the one that always flies to the left, that always makes that rattling sound, and you can never get the smell out of for some odd reason. Has set it to autopilot itself to crash land after Bana had basically made it look like it belonged to the Yorkshire. And it crashes spectacularly, doing no damage to the facility. Good job. And
Except it kind of moved a little to the left.
where you wanted it to land, it definitely landed to the left, and you're like, geez, okay.
I can do all the
And
calculations I want to. It doesn't matter. It's always going to be.
yep. And so Joe was left with the information that you told him and no more. And you have gained +1 confusing shuttle as well as plus many information on what the fuck is going on. Congratulations. You figured out my mining problem.
You did not figure out your mining.
No.
No, you did.
No.
You
We
figured
left
out
with more
exactly
questions.
what I wanted you to figure out.
We
But I
left with more
would say-
questions than answers.
Yes, we have a lot more questions.
Perfect.
I would have
That-
told Trop though
Okay.
when we were going back on the shuttle.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do a post scene.
There was an unspoken question, and I think Lex would have said, it couldn't have been Morali, no matter how much I might have wanted it otherwise, because she was my best friend and I knew her very well. They knew I knew her very well, but only once. Because you'd be crazy to ignore an offer from a healthy denobulin female, and I'm not crazy. All the doctors say so.
Trop would smile and nod politely. Suddenly concerned for potentially reminding the captain of something she didn't want to think about or that he doesn't want to know about.
Ah.
Are they having this conversation out loud within earshot of Bana and Rakan?
It's a small
sure.
shuttle.
It's a
It's a
shuttle.
small ass shuttle.
It is a
Nobody's
small
missing
shuttle.
this story.
Yeah.
No one.
Rakan would lean over to Bana and go, I would tend to agree with her. We did just see her name a weapon. Ori.
We did. She's a bartender and a badass. What do you know?
And at bartender and a badass, the credits roll.